They love a late start in Paris, even for this final. It's just gone 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If it does rain, there's a roof, so we do finish today. And here, walking up the stairs, is the Norwegian Casper Ruud. The 8th seed, he's about to experience a first taste of a Grand Slam final. What a moment for Casper Ruud, who's hoping to become the youngest male Grand Slam champion since Juan Martín del Potro at the US Open 13 years ago.
Et il sera opposé à celui qui a remporté 21 titres en Grand Chelem. 13 à Roland-Garros, l'Espagnol Rafael Nadal.
Nadal says because of his foot problem that every match he plays here at Roland-Garros, he doesn't know whether it could be the last here or even in his career. So these are historic moments once again we're witnessing here under cloudy skies in Paris as Nadal walks out for a 14th French Open final. And just let that sink in for a moment. 14 finals, the potential to win the same Grand Slam 14 times in an 18-year span. 1 year he pulled out through injury. On 3 other occasions he's been beaten along the way, but never has he lost a final of the French Open. The green and gold kit that Nadal has been wearing all fortnight is now visible as he takes his tracksuit top off, never still, bouncing up and down on his heels. And in just a moment, the coin toss will take place. And now Casper Ruud knows what it feels like to walk out and play Rafa Nadal on the Philippe Chatrier court.
Oh, what a moment for him. I mean, to make your first Grand Slam final. But also, you talked about Rafa. You know, the record before the big 3 showed up was Sampras at 14. He will have done that at 1 slam, which makes it incredible if that happens today.
The numbers are very, very hard to really get across.
I mean, his opponent today is how old?
He's 23.
Yeah, so Rafa's been winning this tournament for the last 14 years of Casper Ruud's young life. It's intimidating to step out on court against, isn't it?
It's when economists talk about billions and billions of pounds and dollars, and we don't really have a concept of exactly how much that is. And it's the same with Nadal's titles here. I think people have become used to Nadal winning at the French Open. They've almost taken it for granted, and I think we're probably all guilty of forgetting just what an extraordinary sporting achievement this is. Perhaps the greatest in all sports.
You come here, and a photo facing the photographers.
James Kjothavong just lining Rafa Nadal and Casper Ruud up either side of the net.
This way, this way.
The umpire has to choreograph the mascots that walked onto court with the players, choreograph this photo shoot. And now there'll be a picture for the 2 mascots.
Matches. Any preference on the towel box? Okay, Rafa orange, great for you, Casper. Any questions? Okay, Kellis, who would like to call, 22 or Roland Garros? Roland Garros. 22. Serve?
So there we go. Nadal allowed Ruud to call. He called wrong. Nadal will serve and Ruud will stay at the commentary box end. We are on the 5th level of the broadcast centre in the René Lacoste stand, and we're looking down now at Casper Ruud, who's hitting a forehand to the Rafa Nadal backhand. But don't worry, we're not underway yet. It is only the warm-up. Let's hear from Nadal now on a man he's got to know very well over the last few years, having seen him train with him at his academy in Mallorca, and he has high praise for Casper Ruud, both on and off the court. Well, I can't hear anything, so I'll assume you can't hear anything either, and we'll continue chatting amongst ourselves as we prepare for this French Open final between Rafael Nadal and Casper Ruud on 5 Live, with Wales against Ukraine to come from the Cardiff City Stadium at 5 o'clock this afternoon on 5 Live. And a reminder that England have won the Test match by 5 wickets with 100 from Joe Root, and the highlights are on BBC Two at 7 o'clock this evening. I was struck by Casper Ruud saying he was going to visualise hitting incredible winners and being involved in unbelievable rallies against Rafa Nadal over the last couple of days. How much importance do we need to attach to visualization ahead of a big final?
I think it's huge. It's so important to see yourself doing it. If you can't see yourself doing it, you can't achieve it. Chris Evert, one of the greats of our game, used to play the whole match in her mind the day before she played every match. And she didn't do too badly in her career as well. So I think he's doing the right thing, trying to get himself in the zone. He also has to anticipate the crowd being against him, having to deal with all those sorts of things today. So I think it is the right thing to do for this final.
Yeah, I agree. I think visualization is incredibly important, especially going out there against Rafa, such a big moment. As we say, he's grown up, it's kind of his idol, isn't it? Almost like a hero of his growing up. He was here when he was a kid watching Nadal in one of those finals, Casper Ruud, and now he's out there himself in the final playing against him. So it's just kind of one of those full circle life moments, and you want to have the visualization so it doesn't become too much for you.
So let's hear from the two players now. Here first of all is Nadal on Ruud, the man he knows both on and off the court.
Well, I have a huge respect for him. First of all, in terms of friend, he has a great character. He's a great guy, and he has a great family. Honestly, no, that's the main thing. And then, as a player, of course, I respect a lot him. He did a lot of great things the last couple of years. I don't know. He's the number. Which number? He's 8, 7 in the world. So. That's the ranking tells by itself, and it's not a surprise. So that's it.
And here's Casper Ruud on looking up to Rafa Nadal for many years as he prepares to play him in the biggest match of his life.
It's obviously going to be tough. I know we all know what a great champion he is and how well he plays in the biggest moments and the biggest matches. So I'm just going to try to enjoy. I will be the underdog, and I will try to, tonight and tomorrow night dream about great winners and unbelievable rallies, because that's what it is going to take if I want to have any chance. And I will need to play my best tennis ever. And to play Rafa in a Roland Garros final is probably the greatest challenge there is in this sport. So I believe he's 13-0 in the finals. So just shows that it might sound like an impossible task, but of course I will give it a shot.
He will give it his very best shot as the sun comes out. It's the brightest it's been for several hours in the French capital now. The warm-up is drawing to a close. Both players are hitting a few serves. Greg, what would you say to Casper Ruud, other than starting well? Is there any particular strategy that he can use to perhaps really unsettle Nadal in the early stages?
Well, I think the thing that he's got to do is he's actually got to start serving into the forehand of Rafa, because Rafa's backhand return, ironically, is better. First serve percentage has to be high, and he's got to get his forehand into play. Early on, if Rafa gets into Casper Ruud's backhand, it could get very, very one-sided. So this opening few games are key for him to stay toe-to-toe with Rafa. Everybody knows when you play Rafa, you go quick into that forehand side and keep him off balance. Make him hit forehands in his forehand side and then attack into the backhand. Easier said than done on a clay court.
So this could be a repeat of many other French Open finals in the past. Think of poor old Roger Federer, who had a single-handed backhand being targeted in the same way, Naomi.
Yeah, and that's, I think, why Rafa's had so much success. Again, it's that leftiness that Greg was talking about. He knows it so well because he had that advantage himself as well, being a lefty.
I did, but unfortunately I didn't have the Rafael Nadal tennis game. I wish I did.
You had the serve, though. You had the advantage with the lefty serve, but it's that forehand cross-court. Again, it's such an extreme forehand with the pace, the spin he gets on it, but then to be kicking up into the right-hander's backhands on the clay, it's just a recipe for success.
And that lefty serve worked to pretty good effect in the US Open of 1997, didn't it? Where you reached the final.
Well, I did,
and the top 4 in the world.
I did make a good living out of it, so the serve, but I wish I had the two-handed backhand of Rafa or even Casper Ruud's backhand. That was my faiblesse, but I can't wait for this one to go. And the crowd is so into this right now because they want to see Rafa win his 14th major here at Roland Garros.
Well, the clock again is down to 0, which means that Nadal should be ready for the start of the match. This happened in the semi-final, and the umpire did nothing about it. It's a big call to give somebody a time violation before a Grand Slam final begins.
I'm not sure we're going to see it.
And there will not be one from James Kiyothavong. But again, it's against the rules. The rules have been set for a reason, to try and get things moving faster. What's the point of having them if you don't impose them?
There's rules for some and there's rules for others. You know that, Russell. Don't you know by now?
Yes, I do. Here we go then. French Open final. Nadal aiming for a 14th title. Serves first to the backhand of Casper Ruud. The forehand cross-court from Nadal. The backhand from Ruud. The forehand from Nadal cross-court to that backhand of Ruud. Nadal with a forehand again, targeting the backhand of Ruud. Nadal goes cross-court with that forehand. Ruud cross-court to Nadal's forehand. A forehand now for Ruud, and ironically, that was the one he shanked, and Nadal has the first point of the final here on 5 Live.
Well, we talked about it before the match. That pattern all day long. Forehand cross-court to backhand. Ruud tried to get around there, but just didn't get his feet into place. That's why he shanked that forehand.
Light green top, darker green shorts worn by Casper Ruud. The white headband, wide stance, about 6 or 7 meters behind the baseline as he prepares to receive this Rafa Nadal serve. The serve and then the forehand by Nadal. The slice backhand drop shot from Nadal, which is just too good for Ruud, who skids to a halt on this freshly swept clay and leaves a mark of about 8 or 9 feet in length.
Well, I liked his comments before the match, Casper Ruud. He was kind of laughing and joking, wasn't he? You know, saying when he was asked, did he ever beat Nadal in practice? And he said, well, no, but, you know, I was just being polite. I was at his academy, knowing full well that means he's never beaten him, not even in one practice set. It's tough to get the belief.
It is going to be difficult.
30-love Nadal puts a first serve into the net. Yes, he comes across as a very nice man, but that fire will be burning strongly inside him. He will be desperate to try and do everything he can to win this title. 30-love. Second serve for Nadal. The backhand reply from Ruud. Forehand from Nadal to the backhand of Ruud. Nadal's forehand is cross-court, again onto the backhand side of the Norwegian. Now a forehand from Ruud, and he can be very dangerous off this wing. Nadal going just long with the forehand after extra pace from the Casper Ruud forehand.
It's quite interesting to see how calm and composed Ruud is. It's almost like a practice session. Each player knows exactly where the other one is going to hit the ball. And I think if we look at the women's finals yesterday, Goff didn't have that sense of comfort that Ruud has on the court so far.
The advantage of having practiced with Nadal so many times, although the other side of the coin is that Nadal has a lot in the memory bank as well, as Ruud just misses his backhand down the line service return.
Interestingly enough, every serve from Rafa has gone into the backhand side in this match so far.
He likes to send the message early, doesn't he?
He does. It's just backhand, 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 the way he used to beat Roger Federer here every year in the finals.
40-15. First game of the final. 2 game points for Nadal, who's never dropped more than a set in any of the 13 finals he's played previously at Roland Garros. And a 30th Grand Slam final in all for him. He's now just 1 behind Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer. (40-15). Second serve Nadal. And a let is called.
And the sun's creeping out a little bit right now as well. We're just starting to see a few shadows for the first time of the day. It was getting brighter, wasn't it? But the sun hadn't managed to peek behind the clouds just yet.
It's Rafa weather. He would like it hotter and sunnier than this, but given the forecast, it's pretty much as good as it possibly could have been for Nadal right now. His forehand to the Ruud forehand. Backhand cross-court from Nadal onto the forehand of Ruud. Nadal will now go down the line to the backhand of Ruud, and that's into the net. And Nadal holds in the opening game to 15.
Really some high quality stuff from both men. And we talked earlier on how the backhand is so improved from Rafa. We saw some good examples, really rifling that backhand cross court and then striking it up the line beautifully. I think it's underestimated how much he's improved that shot in the past year. It's so much more offensive.
Even the serve from when we first saw him, break through onto the tour all those years ago when, how old was he when he won here first? 19 years old?
Yes.
And the serve, he kind of just had to roll. It was a point starter, wasn't it? Then he obviously had to develop that side of his game to become more aggressive, to be competitive on other surfaces, to have a chance to win at Wimbledon. It's not like when you come out on tour, that's your game and you're set. These players continue to evolve and push themselves and work.
Well, the reason they're such great players is, as you say, Naomi, every year they get better and they add more to their arsenal. This is a huge game, by the way, for Casper Ruud coming up right now. He needs to hold here right now.
This is what Coco Gauff was unable to do in her first couple of service games yesterday in the women's final, and soon found herself 4-love down. Serve a bigger advantage in the men's game, so we'd expect to see fewer breaks, and often one can be decisive, although we see more breaks of serve on clay, given that it is a slower surface than most of the other surfaces they play on around the world. Mind you, there are some very slow hard courts these days as well. The forehand from Ruud after a good reply by Nadal, who's now going down the line. Ruud on the defensive, the low volley from Nadal. Beautifully done, just gliding in, and that was a backhand drop volley winner for Nadal.
And unfortunately for Casper Ruud out here, Rafa looks like he's brought his A game for the final. This is the best start I've seen him have all tournament, I think.
It kind of reminds me of the match where he played Novak Djokovic. He is just up for this.
Uber aggressive.
I mean, just doing everything right now.
Love 15. Ruud serving down the middle. There's a high backhand return by Nadal, unable to control the length of that. And Ruud's won his first service point of the final. Rafael Nadal first said 8 years ago that his generation was on the way out. And we laughed then. And we still smile now, because no one is ruling out the possibility that Nadal will be here for at least another couple of French Opens. Good defense here from Nadal. The big forehand from Ruud, the backhand from Nadal, right onto the baseline. Another backhand from Nadal to the backhand of Ruud. Nadal's backhander, mishit. It's only just cleared the net, but he's still in this rally. And now a much more fluent backhand from Nadal wins him the point as it's punched into the net on the forehand by Casper Ruud.
I don't think I've ever seen a better player change defense into offense on a clay court than Rafa. He was way back behind the baseline, but then all of a sudden got the height, the depth on that backhand, and took command of the point again.
Enjoying the slightly quicker conditions, certainly far quicker than in that semi-final against Alex Zverev, played under the roof. Nadal. 15-30, Ruud serving. Second serve to Nadal coming up. It's on to the forehand of Nadal. Ruud is running back behind the baseline to hit a forehand. Nadal, again, not really getting too much on that, but it's over the net and it's in play. A high return from Ruud and a short one. Nadal's off forehand is so dangerous, he'll have to play a smash Nadal, which gets tangled up with the net, and Ruud gets a racket on it, but that second smash was a foregone conclusion, and this is very ominous indeed for Casper Ruud. He's going to have to fight off 2 break points in his opening service game of the final.
At what point does the panic set in, Greg, for Casper Ruud, or does it? Does he know how difficult it's going to be out there, or after those first 2 games he's lost his first service game, is there a bit of panic now?
I don't think there's any panic. It's 3 out of 5 sets. If it was a 2 out of 3 set match, you'd have more panic. But Rafa right now is playing about as good as it gets, and even if his ball lands a little bit short, it forces Ruud to create pace off that backhand side, which is more difficult for the Norwegian.
Here's breakpoint number 1 for Nadal. It's a backhand return. Ruud with the forehand, hitting in behind Nadal and saving the first of 2 break points.
But there we saw a little bit of a change-up serving the forehand. I'd like to see Ruud do that again. First serve into the forehand and then quick into the backhand. You know, he's got to make these tactical changes on big moments. If he doesn't, he's going to be second best today.
Second chance to get the early break for Nadal. Ruud missing with his first serve.
He's one of the few players that doesn't keep the second serve ball in his pocket, isn't he? He turns every time to get another from the ball boy.
Breakpoint Nadal, backhand return, a short one. Ruud's forehand. Backhand Nadal, hit deeper. Ruud makes room for a forehand. Nadal now going cross-court. Ruud will go down the line with a forehand. Nadal on the run with a forehand cross-court. Passing winner. We've seen it all before, but it is no less spectacular every time. And Nadal has the break and leads by 2 games to love.
You can't approach to the forehand. How many times do we learn this on court? It's so tempting because he's hit such a great cross-court forehand there, Casper Ruud. He's got Nadal way out of court. He's gone massive down the line approach shot. Against most people, it'd probably be a winner, but Rafa's not only quick enough to get there, but also hit the passing shot angle winner as well.
Well, if you're going to go into that forehand side with an approach shot, it's almost got to be a winner. If it's not close to a winner, you're always second best, as you said there, Naomi. But also, interestingly enough, on that point, Rafa took off before he hit that forehand approach, knowing exactly where it was coming to.
To love, Nadal has the break in the first set. He's serving again here into the net. The oldest Grand Slam, or rather French Open male winner in history was 50 years ago, Andres Jimeno. He was 34 years and 10 months old when he won the title at Roland Garros. So another piece of history Nadal is chasing this afternoon here on 5 Live Sport on the BBC Sounds app. Cross-court with the forehand goes Nadal. The backhand from Nadal, the forehand from Ruud. Backhand Nadal. Ruud's got a shorter ball here, but he's netted on the forehand.
You could hear there on the final backhand from Nadal, he actually mishit it a little bit. It sat really nicely for Ruud, but again, I just feel like the pressure of Nadal making those extra balls, which would normally be winners, Ruud just going for a little bit too much, maybe snatching at that final forehand, dragging it down into the net.
To love. 15 love. Nadal missing his first serve. Seeded 5 and ranked 5 coming into the championships. An unusual position for Nadal, but remember he missed a couple of clay court tournaments he would normally expect to win in Monte Carlo and Barcelona because of the stress fracture of the rib he suffered in the Indian Wells semi-final against Carlos Alcaraz in March. Went on to play the final to Taylor Fritz, but actually lost Nadal his first defeat after 20 wins in a row at the start of the year. Nadal has gone long here, so it's 15 all on serve.
But also, by the ranking dropping down to 5, this will be one of the first slams he has to win by beating 4 top 10 players. So doing it the hard way, not the easy way.
He's like, I don't mind, I'll do it anyway. Give me whichever draw you need to give me.
Especially on this surface. But boy, would Casper Ruud like to get a break back here. A big game here. Rafa taking that little extra time that he always does. He's definitely over the time limit, but no call from the chair umpire.
Into the net with the first serve, Nadal. In fact, he's never had to beat 4 top 10 players to win a Grand Slam before. The only 2 men who've had to do that, Roger Federer here, no, at the Australian Open, in fact, in 2017, and Mats Wilander here in 1982. If you're ranked in the top 4, the way the draws work out, it would be impossible as Nadal serves a double fault. So there's hope for Ruud here at 15-30.
I think this is where the mindset of Ruud is so good. He doesn't panic, he just stays in there. And he knows even the great Rafael Nadal has a few lapses and he'll get some opportunities.
Ruud's serve has been very solid throughout the French Open. He's going to be serving more aces, even on a clay court, than Nadal. 52 aces from Ruud in 6 rounds before this final. Second serve for Nadal here. He's got the early break. He leads Casper Ruud by 2 games to love, but he's 15-30 down. And it's another double fault for Nadal.
Well, interestingly enough, you talk about service games won, and Ruud's at 89% through this tournament, while Rafa's at 80%, so he's been broken much more often than the Norwegian.
When he has been broken, it's kind of felt like lapse of focus at times from Rafa, which is something we don't really see from him, but he's been broken in ways that, you know, he's producing unforced errors like the double faults, you know, maybe coming up with a drop shot badly or poorly executed.
2 double faults in a row give Casper Ruud 2 break points in a row. Maybe he only needs one of them to get the break back. He's gone long though, Ruud, so that is 1 chance squandered.
I know what you're trying to say there, Naomi, by basically he's being a little bit human at times, because historically he would have 0 lapses, so he's giving you at times a little bit more, but he's so resilient. Usually when he gets broken, he breaks back usually straight away.
Yep.
But a huge moment here. Boy, would Casper like to get the break back here.
30-40 down Nadal. Second break point for Ruud. And another first serve finds the net.
Surely he won't hit 3 double faults in one game.
Have we ever seen Nadal serve 3 double faults in one game? Very, very rarely.
There's always a first. I'm sure Casper Ruud wouldn't mind right now.
Second serve, break point down Nadal. It's in. Ruud with the backhand return. Nadal's forehand into the net. And a forehand he didn't get hold of at all. And that was a very poor game by Nadal, that unforced forehand error. A couple of double faults, and after playing such a fantastic first couple of games, he's given his academy graduate a gift.
But here's the question, which is the side of the foot that's bothering him? Is it the right or the left foot?
Left.
So the left foot, and you look at those serves, he wasn't being able to drive up with the legs, because I've had many foot surgeries and problems with my feet. And that's something that's difficult to do if you're used to driving up with your legs. And if you look at the 2 double faults and the missed serves, he wasn't pushing up. When you're going side to side, it's a little bit easier, but that's where you really see if it's bothering him. He's not going to show you that that possibly could be a slight problem today.
The trumpeters are back.
They've grown, haven't they? We only had the 1 drum at the start of the tournament, then we had a drum and a trumpet, and now we've got almost a full brass band.
All the Grand Slams have their own sounds, don't they? And I don't think you would ever be mistaken for where you were if you put a blindfold on and listened to the shouts of the crowds at Roland Garros.
I do think it's one of my favourite crowds here on Philippe Chatrier. They just seem to have such a deep understanding of the sport. They know when it's a big moment. They love to get behind the players. They produce so much noise at times, and they're a little bit naughty and cheeky as well. They're not afraid to boo if they don't like what the players on court are doing. They're kind of a bit wind the players up at times as well. It's good fun.
Yes, they boo their own. They will boo French players who have to retire from a match through injury, which is something we saw happen to Alizé Cornet earlier at this French Open. Back on serve here in the final with Ruud serving at 1-2, the backhand from Ruud. Nadal's forehand, Ruud with the backhand, push to the forehand of Nadal. Down the line goes Nadal, a slice backhand from Ruud, forehand cross-court from Nadal, who's in at the net. Ruud nets as he tries to go down the line with the passing shot.
Well, he's just got to get more depth on his shot. He can't allow Rafa to dictate him. You know, Rafa wants the break back straight away. You know, first serve percentage is so important for him. If it gives Rafa too many second serves, he's going to be second best today.
Casper Ruud at the 5 Live Sport commentary box end here on the Philippe Chatrier court. Rafa Nadal a good 6 or 7 metres behind the baseline at the opposite end, in front of the President's box, in front of the Coupe des Mousquetaires, which he's got his hands on 13 times before. And the great Billie Jean King, who's one of those watching on from the front row. Ruud serving down the middle. It was an excellent serve, the short forehand from Ruud, and he made no mistake with that.
The Norwegian royal family are here somewhere as well, aren't they? We're not sure exactly where they're sat. I would assume they'd be sat in the President's box, but maybe they're in the players' box of Casper Ruud.
I believe they're in the front row to the right of Billie Jean King, the royal family. I did a little research online. Can't say my knowledge about Norwegian royal family is that good.
They look fairly royal from this distance, don't they?
I need binoculars. I don't know how both your eyesight's good enough to see all the way over there.
I can't see it 2 inches in front of my eyes, but I can see from distance quite well.
It's a fabulous sight. Virtually every single seat is taken. 15,000 capacity. Fairly bright but grey skies above. And those inside the stadium are watching Casper Ruud blast a forehand over the baseline. And he's 15-30 down, having just got the break of serve back. Line judges either sitting or standing, wearing blue hoodies. Our umpire James Kiothavong in the chair with a couple of ball boys squatting down next to him with their orangey brown tops and their black shorts. And the unmistakable sound of the feet of ball boys and ball girls just sprinting across the clay. Forehand from Nadal. Ruud decides to play this on the forehand, and Nadal makes another error with that forehand from inside the baseline by dumping it into the net.
That's one he'd like to have back there, because that one he should have driven straight through and come forward on. Now, both men's forehands haven't been firing as well as they'd like. I mean, Ruud's only had 2 winners with 3 unforced errors from that side.
1-2. 30 all. 20 minutes played. First set of the Roland Garros men's final on 5 Live. Forehand hit by Ruud. Nadal with the backhand. Ruud's forehand to the slice backhand of Nadal. Ruud hits the forehand down the line. It's a winner.
Right on cue, Greg. Just as you say, they're not executing their forehands. Really nice one there from Casper Ruud on his front foot inside the baseline. Nicely executed, good margins.
Well, it's going to be the one who hits those forehands better that's going to also come through. That's a key shot for both men today.
Yeah. It's a massive part of both games as well, isn't it? Casper Ruud, it's by far his strongest shot from the back of the court, and I mean, we can see that by how much Nadal's trying to pepper his backhand out there early on.
But interestingly, tactically, Rafa hasn't stayed at the backhand like he did in the opening 2 games. He's gone into the forehand a little bit too often.
Game point Ruud to level up this final at 2 games all. 40-30, second serve backhand from Ruud. Forehand Nadal cross court. Ruud with the backhand, and that's missed. A flyer from Ruud, and it's deuce.
I think you could have called 4 for that one, Russell. That wasn't even close to the court.
No, that was a bit of a shocker. Robert Lewandowski has stayed on for the men's final as well.
Is he a bit of a tennis fan? Because he's been here for a few days, hasn't he?
Yes, he was here to watch Iga Swiatek yesterday, certainly. And Marco Verratti of PSG, who doesn't have particularly far to come, given that the Parc des Princes is about 400 or 500 yards from Roland Garros. That was a horrible miss from Ruud inside the baseline. Another miss hit, this time on the forehand. And now it's his turn to gift Nadal a break point.
We've had a lot of footballers in, actually, haven't we? I think we had Thierry Henry a few days ago. We've had Zidane. Maybe a lot of them in town for Champions League. And
yes, they were in for the Champions League final, weren't they, last Saturday? Arsene Wenger was here.
And Novak actually said when he'd spotted Arsene Wenger, it made him play better. He wanted to step up to impress him.
Break point for Nadal. Backhand return. Ruud with a forehand. Nadal with a forehand. Now starting to come slightly closer to the baseline, Nadal. Forehand from Ruud. Nadal's backhand. Short. Ruud with the forehand to the slice backhand of Nadal. Ruud with the off forehand. Nadal is there and he's hooking his forehand cross court. Ruud very carefully places this down the line. Nadal goes cross court and another miss hit from Ruud. Well, that was 3 poor errors in the game. Admittedly there at the end of a longer rally and in a little bit of a tight spot in his forehand corner. But you can't afford to gift back a gift when it's given to you by Rafa Nadal on the Philippe Chatrier court.
Yeah, but when he had that game point, all of a sudden he hit that horrible backhand that didn't even come close to the court. And then he started thinking to himself, I'm playing Rafael Nadal. He wasn't playing the ball, he was playing the situation. And that's what Lendl used to say. It doesn't matter who I play, I've just got to play the ball I'm given. And it's so difficult to do that against your idol. And we all know how Casper has talked so fondly about Rafael Nadal.
3-1, Nadal leads. Caroline Garcia and Kristina Mladenovic have won the women's doubles title. Coco Gauff, runner-up for the second time this fortnight, partnering Jessica Pegula. It was 6-2 to the French pair in the final. Backhand from Ruud. Nadal with the forehand. Ruud with the backhand to the middle of the court. Nadal's forehand again is a little bit conservative. Forehand again, Nadal lands right in the middle of the court, but the errors are just flowing from the racket of Casper Ruud now, who's gone long again, and Nadal 3-1, 15 love.
The problem is Ruud cannot hurt Rafa from that backhand wing, and Rafa knows that, so he's just going to keep going there, especially if he knows he needs to win a big point.
It's like he's remembered the tactic, hasn't he, that he used in the first 2 games. As you say, he kind of stopped doing it, but now he's right back on it again.
Yeah, why change a winning formula?
Nadal serving now at 15 love, right onto the service line, so he's got a short return from Ruud, who's staying in this rally with a forehand, in fact pushing his Spanish opponent back behind the baseline. Nadal down the line with a forehand, and that is too good for Ruud.
Really nice point construction there from Rafa, just moving his opponent slowly side to side. Again, he knows now he can just go back to that backhand if he needs to stay in the rally a little bit longer, if Ruud is getting too much time on the forehand side. But when he's being that aggressive, Rafa, it doesn't matter which part of the court he hits into. Too much court to cover for Ruud.
Other doubles champions crowned today. Alfie Hewitt and Gordon Reid, a 10th consecutive Grand Slam wheelchair doubles title. We hope to hear from them in the next 10 or 15 minutes here on 5 Live. They beat Gustavo Fernandez and Shingo Pineda in 2 tie-breaks to win the French Open crown again. Nadal hits his forehand to the backhand of Ruud. That's cross-court. Nice hit by Ruud, who's going down the line with the backhand. Now the drop shot from Ruud, but it's a little bit too deep, and Nadal has all the time he could possibly need to just stroke the forehand down the line and notch up another point on the board.
Well, my dad had texted me at the start of this match and saying, I'm going for the underdog in 4 sets here, and I've just texted him and said, let me know when you change your mind.
Did you not say, Dad, I'll give you 5-1 odds and have a little wager?
Maybe he's trying to pretend Rafa's the underdog. I feel like that's the reply I'm going to get.
Yeah, he's got himself covered there, hasn't he? 3-1, 40 love. Nadal serves into the net. 111 matches won and 3 lost at Roland Garros. And of those 111, 89 have been won in straight sets. Amazing numbers. Nadal with these game points serves as a second serve, his forehand to the forehand of Ruud. Backhand Nadal. Ruud with the backhand cross-court, Nadal's forehand cross-court. Double-handed backhand from Ruud down the line and really close to the sideline. Now coming into play, the drive volley. Nice point by Casper Ruud.
Well, he's got to be more offensive with that backhand as he was in that last point. He's got to take some risks today, especially when he's returning, and just start cracking that backhand a little bit more. And if he misses a few, it doesn't matter, but that was probably his best point from that side today so far.
It just puts Rafa off ever so slightly, doesn't it? If it's a bit unpredictable, if he is going to do him a bit of damage off it every now and then, you know, at least on a big point, Rafa will have that in the back of his mind. If he's just going to rally with him, it becomes such an easy target.
Well, if he decides just to rally with Rafa, you know, he might as well hand him the trophy, I would say. He's got to take those risks.
40-15 Nadal. There's another miscue from Ruud, and it's wide, and Nadal leads by 4-1. He just played that one poor service game, didn't he? But otherwise, he has been by far the stronger player. Too many errors from Ruud in the early stages. Nadal with that 4-1 advantage, trying to win a 14th title here. The first one he won was against Mariano Puerta of Argentina in 4 sets in 2005, which was the first time I'd ever been to Roland Garros. And I was out here at the time. Jonathan Overend was the correspondent. Alistair Eakin was out here as well. And I came for 3 days to do some commentary for what was called Sports Plus, which was the precursor to Sports Extra. And I was not here, therefore, for the final, so I didn't see the first title. And in my mind, I was out playing in the park with my then 1-year-old son, who's recently turned 18. I didn't even get to see it with my own eyes.
Unbelievable. I mean, to think you've been doing this that long, since 05 as well, and have not seen Rafa, but knew where he started this great run. I mean, it is incredible to think 14 Roland Garros titles if he wins today. On top of that, you talked about the matches, 111 wins, only 3 5-set matches against 3 players. Can you name those 3 players?
I can. John Isner, Novak Djokovic, Felix Auger-Aliassime.
I know, it happened this year. And it was very interesting, that match with Felix. because the fact that his Uncle Tony was there as well, watching in the stands, and that was one of the few 5-set matches.
Casper Ruud about to serve again, 1-4 down. Let's say good afternoon on 5 Live Sport, and congratulations to a pair who've won 10 consecutive Grand Slam wheelchair doubles titles, Alfie Hewitt and Gordon Reid. Well done again, guys.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Russell.
7-6, 7-6 against Gustavo Fernandez and Shingo Cuneda. Looked to be fairly hard work out there, Alfie.
Yeah, no, obviously we've had a lot of battles against them in recent slams as well, so we knew it was going to be a tough one, and they're both in the singles final, probably playing some of their best tennis. So yeah, it was a real top performance from us both today to come out and get the victory.
Nadal hitting a forehand down the line for the winner there, so Casper Ruud already on the back foot, serving at love 15. Let's describe this next point, and then we'll find out how Gordon has pulled up, having had quite a nasty wrist injury for much of this year. Ruud is serving now. It's onto the forehand of Nadal, and that's a little bit too long. I did wonder whether the streak was in serious danger of ending here, given that you've had so little time on court, Gordon.
Yeah, I think there's a few of us that thought that. You know, I hadn't played at all since the Australian Open doubles final until about 3 weeks ago. So yeah, it's been a real challenge, and it's been a tough few months physically for me, but obviously really happy to be back on court again with Alfie.
15 all here. Second serve for Casper Ruud coming up. He just has to hold on to his serve here. 1-4. 15 all. It's just the one break of serve down to Nadal in this first set of the final on 5 Live. Ruud serving, backhand return from Nadal. The drop shot from Ruud. It's a much better played drop shot this time. Nadal gives up the chase about 6 or 7 feet before the ball, and it's 30-15 to Ruud. What do the other players in the draw make of you two guys? I mean, you have this hold over them. It must count for such a lot when a final gets tight.
I don't know, you'll have to ask them, but I think from our point of view, when we're getting to these situations and big matches and finals, you know, we've got a belief within ourselves. We've been here so many times, and yeah, I think that helps for a lot.
Nadal's hitting a backhand close to the sideline. Now he's stepping inside the baseline to hit the forehand. Ruud is defending in his backhand corner. The forehand from Nadal is a winner, so 30 all now on the Ruud serve. And Alfie, this has been quite a breakthrough year for the wheelchair events at Roland Garros, hasn't it, given that there have been a couple of finals on the Philippe Chatrier court over the last 2 days, and the wheelchair singles draws are now 12. Are we where we need to be now, do you think, with wheelchair tennis?
Yeah, it's obviously great exposure for our sport. You know, these are the biggest stages in tennis, and for us, we're obviously extremely grateful to be able to showcase our sport. And there's been a few other slams now that have done the same. So yeah, hopefully we can kick on, and maybe Wimbledon will be the last one to have us on.
Yep, that's a slightly different conversation, isn't it, given the fact that grass is a different surface to clay and hard courts. 40-30 Ruud. And so just finally, you are very busy over the next few weeks, I know. Do you get a chance to have a little bit of a break before starting your grass court seasons?
Yeah, I think myself and Alfie are both kind of have different schedules coming up. I've got a tournament next week in near Nice in Moratoglu's academy, and Alfie's away back home to start the work on the grass, and then we're both going to be at Queen's in a couple of weeks. So yeah, not too much rest. You know, straight back to it, and grass is probably my favourite surface, so I'm really looking forward to getting back there.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing you both at Queen's, and congratulations again on a 10th consecutive title.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Russell.
Alfie Hewitt and Gordon Reid, the champions. Nadal has just missed here with a backhand, so Ruud has held serve, and it is 4-2 in Nadal's favour. And we're watching the first set of this final, the men's singles final on 5 Live, with Greg Rosetsky and Naomi Brody. Good for them.
Oh, a fantastic result. I mean, they just work so hard, so dedicated, and their record is incredible. I mean, 10 slam titles together. What an accomplishment.
It's 10 in a row, isn't it, as well? Like, just sheer dominance. It's almost Nadal-esque.
We love a streak as well, don't we? We love the fact that Iga Swiatek has won 35 matches in a row, and these guys have now won 10 Grand Slam doubles titles in a row.
Well, it kind of helps you to try and explain and express you know, how good they are and what it is that they're achieving when you've got those sort of stats to say with the streak that they're on.
4-2 Nadal, his forehand, cross court, just clearing the net. Ruud putting a forehand into the net, and you can see he's thinking, why am I playing like this? I'm a much better tennis player than I'm showing at the moment.
Yeah, but you've also got to look at the way Rafael Nadal hits the ball like nobody else. Even though that ball was short, it has a little extra spin, a little bit more depth, a little bit more height, plus being left-handed makes the ball move a little bit differently. He is the hardest test on clay, the greatest of all time, no question on this surface.
4-2. 15 love. Backhand reply from Ruud. Nadal has plenty of court open to him to hit the forehand. He's going to have to play another volley, which is a little bit too safe. And the lob from Ruud is just over the baseline. Nearly managed to turn that point around, the 23-year-old Norwegian.
I think Ruud was shocked how bad that volley was. He had so much more time to do something with that shot. Just almost panicked a little bit there, pushing the lob long.
It's a bit awkward, wasn't it, for Rafa? It was high on the backhand side, but rather than just trying to overplay it or go for too much, he just completely put it in the middle of the court. And as you say, Casper had so much time to try and come up with some sort of passing shot, at least make him play another one.
I agree.
4-2, 30 love. Backhand reply from Ruud. Nadal's forehand to the backhand of Ruud. That's drilled beautifully cross-court by Ruud. A backhand cross-court again. Nadal with a forehand down the line. He saw what was coming, and he doesn't miss too many of those, Rafael Nadal. 3 game points for a 5-2 lead first set.
Well, it's amazing how many former champions or finalists are here this year. We're seeing in our pictures Stefan Edberg is here, Guga Kuerten is here. You've got Hollywood stars as well with Michael Douglas here, Hugh Grant. So everybody wants to be at this ticket today. They want to see a little history happen.
Is Iga Swiatek here? Has she stuck around? She
said
tries
she wanted to be watching it on court. We've not seen her on the screen yet, have we? But I suspect she probably will be here somewhere, having done a few publicity photos and shoots with the trophy, the Suzanne Lenglen Cup in Paris earlier today. Nadal missing here, so the game continues at 40-15, 4-2. Lots to do after winning a Grand Slam title, but invariably with a huge smile on your face.
Yeah, it's not such a chore when you've won, is it? It's not quite the same feeling as when you come off from a loss and you've got the doping squad waiting there for you and you just kind of roll your eyes.
Please stop reminding me of that.
PTSD.
Well, I remember Iga Swiatek saying after she won her first French Open title at the end of October 2020 that she thought actually she'd just be floating on a cloud for the rest of her life. And actually it's not quite like that. You do come back down to earth pretty quickly. And the sheen wears off slightly. Forehand from Ruud, backhand from Nadal to the forehand of Ruud. He's hit that very powerfully onto the baseline, Ruud. Good reply too from Nadal, and Nadal's forehand is long, so some good resistance in this game by Ruud. Now 40-30 on the Nadal serve, but he does lead this first set on 5 Live by 4-2. Later on this afternoon, Wales against Ukraine in the World Cup playoff here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds from 5 o'clock. Ian Dennis, Jane Ludlow and Sam Ricketts, our commentary team for that. And a little later on Sports Extra from 9 tonight, it's the final round of the US Women's Open with Ian Carter and the team. That's taking place at Pine Needles in North Carolina. Minjee Lee, 3 shots clear going into the final round. Forehand cross-court from Nadal, the backhand hit by Ruud. Lovely angle from Nadal, a slice backhand from Ruud. Forehand from Nadal, forehand from Ruud. Backhand cross-court from Nadal, the forehand cross-court from Ruud. Nadal's backhand is pushed more down the line. One of the longer rallies of the match so far sees Casper Ruud hit the backhand cross-court. Here's the drop shot from Nadal to try and win the game. Ruud with a drop shot of his own. Nadal down the line. And Ruud could not quite reach it with his racket. And it's another game for Nadal, who leads by 5-2 in the first set.
Interesting enough there, you thought we were going to see the big celebration from Rafa with the fist pump jumping up in the air, but he's just sauntering through a little bit of emotion, but not showing too much, just saving those feet out there. I mean, this is what Ruud wants to do. Even though he lost that point, he wants to make every point as long and physical as he possibly can.
Last rally, 17 shots. That was the longest rally of the match, Russell. You were right.
It felt like it mid-rally.
Well, the average rally's been about 6 shots, so not incredibly short in terms of serve and next ball, but also they're not having like extremely lengthy rallies like we saw with the Djokovic and the Zverev matches. It's moving at a much quicker pace, I'm sure, to Rafa's delight.
Well, that's what Ruud has to think to himself. Okay, how do I make him a little bit tired? Remember, I'm 23. I can run all day. Rafa's 36. Yes, he's one of the greatest athletes of all time. But when you're 36 and going into possibly a 5th set, you got to think it's got to favor the younger man somehow. But there's still a long way to go before that happens. He's first got to get a few sets, even though Rafa looks like he's in pretty good control here in the opening set.
And it's that inner drive and that desperate determination. I'm not saying Casper Ruud doesn't have that, but Nadal knows that his career does not have long to run. He knows he's never been beaten here. This could be a final chance to get a 22nd Grand Slam title, and that is just so compelling and so powerful, isn't it, that woe betide anybody who stands in his way.
No, it is amazing. I mean, he is one of the greatest sportsmen ever to play our sport, or any sport in the world. His determination, his drive and desire is second to none.
Casper Ruud is serving to stay in the first set at 2-5. As the sun comes out again, Nadal puts a forehand into the net. We have fairly lighter, slightly lighter grey clouds, would be a good way of describing it. The sun is doing very well to poke through the clouds because it's fairly overcast overhead, but Nadal will not mind these conditions at all, with the temperature at around about 23 Celsius. And he won't mind the look of the scoreboard either, with him 5-2 up in this first set, although it is only the 1 break of serve advantage. Love. Ruud serving to the backhand of Nadal. Ruud hits the forehand. Nadal with the backhand down the centre. Nice off forehand from Ruud, who again is really going for his shots here with the forehand down the line. He's inside the baseline, Ruud, and he's put the forehand away, and there just seems to be an extra little bit of intent in this service game so far by Casper Ruud.
It's the first point I've really seen Casper Ruud look like he's completely loosened up and relaxed, just open his shoulders that little bit more. He's therefore getting more pace behind his shots. Good depth as well, really pushing Rafa, and it then doesn't matter as much if he goes into the forehand of Rafa. As Greg was saying, if you go into that side, you need to do it aggressively. That then opens up the backhand, get him on the move, and that's when he gets in trouble, Rafa.
2-5, 30 love. Ruud catches the tape, and as we've seen throughout the fortnight here at Roland Garros, the ball spins right to the back of the court. Very bouncy net cord. Forehand from Ruud to the backhand of Nadal. He's absolutely hammered that. Good defence from Ruud, who's now lining up the passing attempt. The volley from Nadal, a slice, drop, backhand volley. What a point.
What a statement from Rafa. He said, you've bossed me around the last 2 points. This isn't going to happen anymore. And just throwing the kitchen sink at those backhands. Couldn't hit those any harder.
How good was the final volley as well? I think he'd heard us saying how poor the previous one was, the higher backhand volley, but that one there coming in a bit lower. He got so much slice on it, probably even way more than he needed to, but beautiful shot, such good hands.
30-15. Ruud into the net with that first serve. Nadal's made his point in that last rally. Second serve here from Ruud. Nadal reaching for a backhand. Ruud hits the forehand to the back of the court, and a lovely low volley from him too, because that was really travelling the return from Nadal, and it was a low backhand cross-court angled volley which he picked up from his ankles.
Excellent technique on that backhand volley. An area Ruud has improved over the last year. The serve, the transition game have been real pluses for him, and that's the reason he's in his first Grand Slam final.
(40-15). He's serving to extend this first set, trailing by 2-5, Ruud. A winner of 8 ATP titles, 7 of them on clay. And when your mind was elsewhere last July, after Wimbledon, he won 3 titles in 3 weeks on the clay. Backhand return from Nadal with a little bit of loft. Nadal hits the forehand down the line and he's missing. And Ruud survives. Holds serve. And really, Nadal leads by 5-3.
Really interesting scheduling, wasn't it, from Casper Ruud, as you say, after Wimbledon last year. He chose to miss the Olympics. didn't bother going, instead took the opportunity when he knew most of the top-ranked guys would be there at the Olympics playing, so he thought, well, I'm going to go away on some more clay court tournaments, take advantage of the weaker draws, and as you say, he won 3 in a row.
Well, the other thing is you look at his record the last 2 years on clay. Most wins 66, most finals 9, most wins on clay 7. I mean, that in itself shows you who's playing the best on this surface outside of Roland Garros.
Yep. Outside of Rafael Nadal.
Yes, it should be no surprise really that he's made his way through to the final here. What he had to prove to people was that he was able to reach the quarter-final of a Grand Slam. He'd not done that before. In fact, Nadal was the last player to reach his first Grand Slam quarter-final and then go on to win the title later that fortnight, and that was here at Roland Garros in 2005. He's serving for the set now, Nadal, at 5-3. His backhand is hit to the backhand of Ruud. Nadal inside the baseline, hits the forehand hard, and hard enough to win the point as Ruud goes long with his forehand.
It'll be interesting to see, you know, Rafa closing out this set, whether he keeps on going after that backhand, because he's mixed it up a lot more in this middle part of the set, but I think he's going to go to Old Faithful and keep on punishing that Ruud backhand.
3 points away from the first set as he chases a 14th title here at Roland Garros, long with the serve. That first one, as we were discussing, in 2005, a year that you would have played in the main draw, Greg.
I would, but not very well, I might add.
Shall we move swiftly on?
Yes, we shall. That was my last decent year on the tour before I retired very shortly afterwards.
5-3, 15 love. Backhand return by Ruud. Nadal's forehand hit to the backhand of Ruud. Nadal will go down the line now with the forehand. Ruud defending well and sending the forehand deep and actually forcing the error from Nadal on the backhand side. So he's just got to be careful here. There are a few T's to cross and a couple of I's to dot before Nadal wins the first set of the final.
Maybe not expecting as much depth as he got coming at him there, Rafa, just trying to change direction up the line, not quite respecting the ball that was coming at him and catching it late out into the tram lines.
Well, I think, Naomi, you've made a great point. Ruud's forehand has been firing. It looks like it's gone up a few miles an hour in the last few games.
Yep.
15-all. This is a 46-minute first set so far, so not particularly long by clay court standards. Fine return here by Ruud. Cross-court he goes with the backhand. Nadal hooks his forehand cross-court. Ruud pushes it down the line. Forehand now from Ruud down the line for the winner.
I mean, that's just humongous, that forehand, because, yes, it was short, but there's no way. That was either going to be a winner or a miss, and he's just getting his range in beautifully at the moment. It's a huge moment coming up here at 15:30.
Two breaks to one in Nadal's favour at the moment, but when he was broken himself, it was a very poor game that included a couple of double faults, so you wouldn't expect that to happen again. Maybe Ruud can break with a little bit more brilliance that we saw in that last point. Nadal 15-30 down. Backhand from Ruud is long.
It's just an easy out for Rafa right now, isn't it, Greg? Because, as you say, as soon as he really needs the point, he just goes back to the A game, back to the backhand of Ruud.
Well, also tactically so astute. That was only 110 miles an hour, making sure he gets the first serve into the backhand side. I wouldn't be surprised if he does the same thing again here.
All. 2 points away from taking the first set. 5 Live, BBC Sounds, Greg Rosetsky and Naomi Brody here for this French Open final. Ruud goes just wide, and there's a rare celebration in this first set from Nadal. He knows he has just one more point to win to take the first set. 5-3, set point Nadal.
You know, if I'm Casper Ruud right now, I'm sitting all day long on that backhand return and just giving the tee serve away and say, Rafa, I know where you're going. And he's got to change up his return to serve position.
Set point. Rafael Nadal leading 5-3, 40-30. Backhand return from Ruud is wide, so wide that it nearly took James Kiyothabong in the umpire's chair out. It certainly gave him a fright. It hit the little parasol, the metal parasol, if you like, that is above the umpires' heads to protect them either from the sun or from the rain. And that is a long-winded way of saying that Rafa Nadal has won the first set by 6-3, Greg.
Oh, so impressive from Rafa. The last 3 points just shows his tactical awareness. All first serves, all into the backhand side, all unforced errors from Casper Ruud. It's those little moments. Who play the big points better?
So Nadal has the first set. 2 more required, Colin, for a 14th French Open title.
Thanks, Naomi. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Russell. Back in just a few minutes. Viva España indeed, playing out in the background at Roland Garros. This is 5 Live Sport. Let's pause for the latest news. Here's Matt Bone.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
More than 10,000 people are taking part in a pageant near Buckingham Palace this afternoon as part of the last day of events marking the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The celebrations began with the Gold State Coach making its way down the Mall. The Queen wasn't inside, but screens in the windows showed film footage of her from her coronation day in 1953. The BBC's Martine Croxall watched the coach make its way past the crowds.
There's the Golden State Coach with the virtual reality Queen in the window. That must be a first. There are screens inside there as well. It does look spectacular, even on a relatively dull day.
EasyJet says it's cancelled around 80 flights today. Most of them have been at Gatwick Airport. At least 2 Ukrainian cities have been targeted by Russian missile strikes. Moscow said the attacks in Kyiv destroyed tanks and other armoured vehicles. And police say an illegal rave in Cornwall's continuing into its 3rd day with several hundred people still there. There's now a police cordon around the site at David Stonemore.
This is 5 Live Sport.
Yes, and if you're just tuning in, you're more than welcome. All roads lead to Cardiff, Wales, Ukraine for a place at the World Cup. 5 o'clock kick-off right here. Live commentary in the Voice of the Nation. But right now, the only game that matters, Solihull Moors and Grimsby Town. For their fans, the National League playoff final. A return for Grimsby to the EFL, or a first time in a short history in the Football League. The prize for Solihull Moors. And we're underway, Aaron Paul.
We are, and amid a bad week of PR for the National League, Colin, the game we've all been talking about is finally here, and the prospect of a place in the EFL for one of Grimsby or Solihull Moors. Grimsby on the hunt for an immediate return to the Football League. Solihull Moors, of course, led by former Wimbledon boss Neil Ardley, have never been in the EFL. Now, Colin, there may have been a trumpeter at Roland Garros, but we've had a crooner on the pitch pre-game. We've had a medley of classic hits trying to get a very sparse London Stadium crowd going, as Solihull Moors just plant the ball wide. What a brilliant chance that was for Harry Boyes. Ball in from the left, and it floated around into the middle, and Harry Boyes was just a snapshot, but he planted it wide of the post. Yeah, we had a crooner pre-game, tried to get the crowd going. The thoughts of many people here in the press box, if they'd spent the used budget on discounting the tickets, maybe the fans would have sung off their own volition, and we wouldn't need to have a singer mid-pitch. Look, it's a gloomy, murky afternoon here on the banks of the River Lee. A lot of seats empty here at the London Stadium, but we are very much underway. It is 0-0.
And you're worth every penny. Aaron Paul will let us know if a goal goes in. If and when a goal goes in, well, something has to give today. One needs to go to the EFL, but one right now needs to go back to Roland Garros. The second set underway with Naomi, Greg, and hello for the first time this afternoon, David Law.
Hi there, Colin. And yes, second set is underway here, and Rafael Nadal has started it like he started the match by winning the first point of it against the Casper Ruud serve. Now he's crunching a forehand down the line in that trademark fashion, and the ball crumples on the racket of Casper Ruud at the far end. And at love 30, Naomi, this is already an anxious situation.
Yeah, he's going to want an early break again here in this second set, Rafa, because he had one in the first and he let it go. Ruud was able to break him back. He then had to break back again, Rafa. So he's going to want to get off to another positive start, give himself that cushion.
Smashes his serve down. The forehand comes back and just goes an inch long. And Ruud is walking up to it, circling the mark in the top dressing of this orange clay court. And umpire James Kyothlavong's index finger goes up. He's out of his chair to show to Rafael Nadal and everybody else that the ball was indeed long. They don't have electronic replays here, no Hawkeye or anything like that. The ball makes a mark in the surface that tells the umpire and the players, whether the ball is in or out. Here's a forehand from Ruud. He's got to get that shot working. Down the line goes Nadal, whose forehand never seems to not work as he hits it left-handed and hooks it up cross court, and with that lasso-like motion above his head, he'll now hit his backhand with more penetration, hitting it flat, and then the forehand long again, Greg, from Casper Ruud. That shot has to be a weapon, not a liability.
Well, it has to be, and that was just a wrong shot selection. He's 2 meters behind the baseline, the ball's above his shoulder height, and he's trying to hit a winner up the line. You just got to stay in the rally, and you have to choose your shots. You have to suffer the pain of playing Rafa and making the right shot at the right moment. Early on, this isn't a good start to the second set.
It's really not. Greg Rosetsky, the 1997 US Open runner-up, alongside Naomi Brody here on 5 Live for the French Open men's singles final. Casper Ruud is 2 break points down right at the start of the second set. Nadal, trying for a 14th French Open title, has won the first set. He hooks his forehand mid-court. Ruud attacks with his forehand. He's coming in, playing a forehand volley. Nadal's going to get there, is he? He pokes it down the line, and then he tries to finish it off with a high backhand volley. He puts it in the net, and then he puts his hand to his eyes as if he can't bear to look at what he did.
Well, he missed the easiest shot of the rally. I mean, getting up to that ball was the hard part. Put it in a perfect position. Tried to do the Hollywood 360 backhand smash finish, and it all went wrong.
You can tell Greg's hit 1 or 2 of those, can't you, Naomi? Because he's already got that description down perfectly.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rafa was just not even looking at the ball by the time he'd hit it. He was facing the back of the court, wasn't he? He was facing the baseline with his back to the net. Funny reaction there, just headed his hands. He was almost embarrassed that he'd missed the open court.
Casper Ruud of Norway got away with one there, big time. Can he somehow turn that into a service hold at the start of this second set? He's got to find a way to feel part of this match, because at the moment he feels on the periphery of it. It's the Nadal show as he steps into his backhand, a man who's played 13 Roland Garros finals and won the lot. Ooh, Nadal goes for an explosive forehand, and the oohs tell you how hard he hit it, but he missed it by an inch.
But that's very rare to see Rafa with back-to-back errors on break points. If you were a betting man, you would have said for sure he would have won one of those 2 points.
Especially the final forehand. It's actually quite a poor miss, wasn't it? It was kind of right around the middle of the court, both in depth and width. He had so much time on it. His opponent had ran the other direction in the court. He could have had a huge margin, but just went for way too much.
Juice points on the Ruud serve. He's dressed all in green at the far end of the court. He's got short brown hair held back by a white headband that's tied behind the back of his head. Sort of a mid-green, kind of like the backdrop here at the French Open, if you've ever seen this court, as he hits his backhand cross court and hits it wide. That shot doesn't look particularly stable.
Well, when he tries to accelerate it, he's got to be smooth and get his weight in the right position. It's not technically that bad, but you just like to see at times more length. He doesn't really circle it beautifully like Rafa does, or Novak or Andy Murray, but it's not that bad. But against the very best, it just doesn't quite stand up.
Yeah, I mean, not that bad isn't good enough against Rafael Nadal, is it? That's the problem. Mid-court forehand, he's good at those. Cross-court, he crunches it. Nadal edges it into the crowd. A man nearly catches it one-handed in the front row of spectators, and then he tosses it back to the ball kid. That's a good little hold of the point, and 3 break points saved now from Ruud.
Who do you think has the best backhand out of those top 4, Greg? Federer, Djokovic, Murray, Nadal?
Djokovic, no question about it. When his is on song, there's nobody's better. I've managed to play all of them, at least in practice, and Novak's is pretty laser-like when he's on.
Yeah, signature shot, isn't it, that one? Drop shot by Ruud, in comes Nadal, just reaches it but can't get it over the net.
This is a huge game for Ruud if he can win this opening game, saving those 3 break points, because all of a sudden he'll feel, I got out of jail. Maybe he'll just relax all of a sudden.
Is he playing too nice here? Does he need to have a bit more devil about the way he's hitting the ball and try and just go for broke?
Well, the problem being is that's not his personality. He's settled into this match at stages, played better in the second half of the first set, but right now, if he wins this game, maybe it'll loosen him up to be more courageous.
Interesting. Well, there's a drop shot that he played there, and it had some effect. He really goes after that forehand, and he's won the point. He's won the game as Ruud. He's skipping back to his chair. He's turning around to his dad, Christian, who was a top 100 player himself, and he's clenching his fist. That is a huge moment for Casper Ruud, Naomi, because 15-40 down in the opening service game of the second set when he's a set down. And Nadal had that game won, except he messed up a backup. What can that do for Casper Ruud?
Well, it's going to boost Casper Ruud's morale and, more importantly, his self-belief. But if anything, I think Rafa's going to be really annoyed at himself there. He was 15-40, missed first the backhand volley, you know, albeit it was a kind of tough. He was having to jump round, as Greg was describing, in a 360. But the second break point, the forehand that he missed, you know, he's going to have to put that straight out of his mind here, Rafa, because you don't want to get broken straight back. I feel like that's often when you're at your weakest to be broken, is when you've just had an opportunity, you didn't quite take it, and then your opponent, suddenly their confidence levels raise that little bit more.
I would agree with you definitely in that, Naomi, but the other thing is, this is Rafael Nadal. He's got the amazing thing of actually putting things out of his mind quicker than any player on the planet, as we saw in his run here, and especially against Novak Djokovic.
That's Greg Rosetsky and Naomi Brody here with us on 5 Live. It's the French Open men's singles final. The women's final won yesterday emphatically by Iga Swiatek, who's on this incredible 35-match winning streak. Nadal, a man who's put those streaks together himself, is hitting cross-court with his forehand. He's now crunching another one. Listen to the noise he makes as he hits these balls, how hard he's trying to hit them. Ruud tries to retaliate, but he's hit the net with his forehand.
Well, he's just going to the old tactic, backhand, 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 and backhand. And when he has the right ball, then he changes it quickly into the forehand to draw the error. So I wouldn't be surprised. First serve right now, going out wide to the backhand. And this is where Ruud changed the position, stand up, give him a different look.
You have to be reactive out there on the court, don't you? As you say, if you start to get wise that your opponent's doing that tactic, you have to counteract it, as you say, change your court position.
You want to make your opponent have to think,
yeah,
and try to fizz their mind something and make them do something different. Ruud hasn't been able to do that today so far.
If things weren't going to get bad enough, the sun has just come out to bathe Court Philippe Chatrier. From a Ruud perspective, he's going to be facing an even higher bouncing ball from the Rafael Nadal forehand, who hits it down the centre. Forehand is hit aggressively this time from Ruud. He's in charge, plays a backhand volley. Will Nadal reach it? He will! And he goes cross-court with his backhand for a winner.
I like the aggressive forehand down the line from Ruud. Again, we're saying if you want to go into that forehand from Rafa, it's a good tactic. Do so it aggressively, then open up the backhand. He kind of played the right sort of play, just didn't do enough with the volley.
Yeah, but I would like to see the volley back behind him cross court and getting closer to the net. He was a little tentative moving forward.
Yeah.
Rafa anticipated, and it was an easy backhand pass.
French Open men's singles final here on 5 Live. The World Cup playoff final is coming up a little bit later from 5 o'clock. Wales against Ukraine at Cardiff City Stadium. Ian Dennis, Jane Ludlow, Sam Ricketts will be all part of the coverage of Wales against Ukraine. Nadal taking his time, as he always does. At 30-love here. Love one down in the second set, but he's won the first set as Nadal, and he just smashes a backhand cross-court for a winner. Didn't even seem to line that one up with any great ferocity, and yet the way the ball leaves the strings.
Oh, just incredible. I mean, just the footwork and just getting his whole body weight leaning into the shot. I mean, just rifling that. And also, second serve was very good, over 100 miles an hour into the body, which gave him the short reply to punish.
When Nadal came along 17 years ago and won his first French Open title, as he hits his serve down the centre and backs it up with a forehand drop shot. In comes Ruud, plays a forehand drop shot of his own. That's a wonderful angle from Ruud, and he's put Nadal into his own seat on the side of the court. He almost collided with his own pink and orange racket bag, and he actually gave a little racket tap round of applause to Ruud.
He's so nice, Ruud. He's almost too nice sometimes. Why is he apologising there? He's not done anything wrong. He didn't accidentally or dodgily hit that fantastic angle drop shot. Rafa's just not got enough space to run into it. Sorry, I've hit a winner.
Well, sorry, the chair wasn't moved so you could get to the ball.
40-15 Nadal. This to level up at 1-1 at the start of the second set. He puts the serve onto the service line and smacks his backhand cross court, shoulder high, and then just tosses the ball away that he had in his pocket. Nadal is just cleaning the baseline with the sole of his foot, the way he always does. He has his routines, he sticks to them, and he's level up at 1-1.
Yeah, but that was a brilliant game from Rafa, because, you know, most normal human beings, having had 3 break points in the opening game, would have had a lapse. He actually raised his level up another standard. I mean, that is just so impressive and so difficult to do, to just stay in the present after not breaking in the opening game.
Has there ever been a tennis player better at doing that, staying in the moment?
Not that I know of.
I don't think there's a player that's as mentally tough as Rafa, and that's really the definition of mental toughness, isn't it, to stay in the present?
Well, it is. I mean, the only guy I could possibly think of who retired a little bit too young was Bjorn Borg, if I talk to all the past great champions.
Whose son is now?
He's a player,
Playing.
Leo Borg.
Yeah, he's doing well, I think, as well.
Bjorn Borg, a winner of this title 6 times.
Only 6 times?
Well,
That's
when I was a young lad, I thought that was the most mind-boggling record, and of course it is. 6 French Open titles. Well, Nadal has won 13 of them. Here's a forehand hit inside out by Casper Ruud from his backhand corner. That's his sledgehammer shot, the forehand. He does his damage with that shot. He's trying to fell the ultimate tree here in Rafael Nadal as he hits his backhand down the centre. It's 15-love to the Norwegian. 1 game all in the second, and then boom goes the forehand by Rafael Nadal.
It's almost an identical forehand to the one he had at break point in the first game that he missed wide, but he made no mistakes with that one. Landed an inch or 2 inside the sideline. So much pace and power behind it. You can almost hear the grunt from Rafa, the shots that he puts the extra effort into. It gets louder and louder. It becomes more physical as the point goes on.
It does, but getting back to that Borg point, wasn't it 6 French Open titles in a row and 5 Wimbledons in a row?
I mean, that element of it makes it all the more
incredible.
I can't believe he won 6, because how old was he when he retired? He was young.
26 years of age, yeah.
Amazing.
Rafa is 36, just a couple of days ago, as he hits his backhand down the centre. It's 1 game all, 15 all. He lifts the backhand on the defence, does Nadal, because this is good attacking play from Ruud. He goes cross with that forehand. He's targeting the backhand side of the left-handed Nadal, who's now got that left-handed forehand to go down the line. And then Ruud just opens up on the forehand down the line and cleans that line.
I mean, some fabulous hitting from both players there. Rafa cleaning a line, now Ruud cleaning the line, and all of a sudden the crowd's getting a few little Ruuds going on. That's
I was going to say, they're not boos, they're Ruuds. It's a bit like that Ronaldo that we had, goal celebration that we had going around at the Australian Open that was just infuriating everyone because they're doing it every single point.
Tell me about it. Here's a forehand down the centre by Nadal. Ruud goes down the line with his backhand, he's coming in, and Nadal tries to pass him with a backhand cross-court and pulls it into the tram lines. But there seems to be more clarity of thought about Ruud now.
Well, there is, and that's what's so nice about a 3 out of 5 set match, is you got a little bit more time to settle. There's not as much panic. And that opening game of the set is huge. And, for both men, this second set is very, very important. More so for Casper than for Rafa, obviously.
Nadal in his 14th final here, and he's never been taken even to 5 sets. As the serve and volley point is won by Ruud. Shoulder-high backhand volley cross-court. He sits down with a 2-1 lead, does the man from Norway. It's Rafael Nadal ahead by a set to love, but this is already a more competitive set of tennis, and it feels as though Ruud has settled down a bit now, Naomi.
It really does, and as you were just saying, he seems more clear within his tactics. He's settled earlier on in the set, which is going to help him a lot, because of course walking out in the first set, it was, you've got the crowd, this massive cheer for Rafa. The funniest part for me is when they read out all the tournaments and titles that Rafa's won, and you're there in the warm-up trying to hold your nerve and keep self-belief that you can beat this guy, and they're just reeling off title after title, year after year that he won here. But of course it's then going to be difficult, and maybe it's no surprise that he's broken so early in that first set. But if he can just stick with Nadal here in this second set for as long as he can, keep within touching distance, especially holding his own service games, who knows what's going to happen at the back end of the set.
Well, also, Naomi, imagine if they read out all the titles he'd won. It would be longer than the warm-up. It's 91 titles and 13 French Opens. That's intimidating enough. I mean, Rafa would like it because he likes a 10-minute warm-up. So.
I'm still waiting to see if Rafa's going to get a time warning this match or not.
Now, James Kjothavong looks a little frightened there. He's not going to call him a time warning.
I think James is a strong enough chair umpire to do it if he felt it was deserved. So far, Rafa, he's actually been a little bit quicker today, because I keep keeping my eye on the shot clock, and he hasn't been going over by 3-4 seconds. He's been over by a second every now and then, but it's been pretty borderline.
Too much?
Yeah, but it's been borderline. You know, it's kind of the rule of, is he still bouncing the ball or has he started the action? You don't have to have hit the ball, do you? That's not the rule. You have to have started your service action, not including the ball bounce. Because, of course, some players bounce the ball, as we've seen with Marin Cilic a few days ago, 20, 30, 40 times before the shot clock was brought in.
I don't think he wants to get booed by this whole crowd, because we know who they want to win today.
I mean, there is a judgment call element to it. You have to decide when to press the button to start the timer off, don't you? Depending on what sort of commotion the crowd are making, how much of an energy was expended in the previous point. Nadal's just netted a forehand there. He's a set to love ahead. 2-1 for Ruud in the second set. And yes, I get the feeling that every time you hear somebody sound like they're booing, Casper Ruud may just have won a point because they're shouting his name, Ruud. And it could get annoying, but we'll try to keep jolly. Here's the Love 15 point with Nadal serving at this near end. He's wearing a fluorescent yellow shirt, serving and volleying and playing a low half volley on the backhand. That's come at his feet and he's netted. And this is a chance for Casper Ruud.
It is a chance for Casper, and this is where Rafa had his lapse in the opening set when he was up a break. It's exactly the same situation as in the first set, and real opportunity for Ruud here. Love 30, chance to get a break. It'd be the first time where he really seizes the initiative.
Well, you both pointed out, Naomi and Greg, that point that Nadal had break point on, where he missed a backhand volley that he would have hit in his sleep normally, could have been a turning point here in this set. Might just help Ruud to feel properly part of this French Open final. He was a little bit... he was struggling in that first set, wasn't he? A little anemic, his performance. Hardly surprising, given the nerves that must be involved against the great Rafael Nadal, who's his hero, who he trains with at the Rafael Nadal Academy. That's where he has learned his trade in the last few years. As Nadal hits his forehand cross-court. This is to set up break points for Ruud. Hits his forehand down the centre. Deep as well. Now he's got a backhand to hit. Goes cross-court. Can he get Nadal on the defensive here? The chance for the forehand, Ruud, but it's not really penetrating the defences yet. Hits his backhand cross-court. It's just found the sideline. He's got another backhand to hit. He slices it down the line. Now a slice cross-court is into the net, Nadal. And these are 3 break points against the great Spaniard.
I love the patience there from Ruud. Yes, he could have rifled that forehand, but he's willing to take a physical battle with Rafa. You've got to stand up to him and play these long sorts of points. Yes, he was a little lucky with one mishit shot there, but love the slice backhand up the line. We're seeing a lot more different things in the Norwegians' arsenal. One serve and volley, slice backhand, patience from the back of the court. He deserves these 3 break points early on here.
Now then, Casper Ruud is leaning forward, swaying to and fro, 2 hands on the racket, eyeballing Rafael Nadal, his great hero, who he's trying to prevent from winning a 14th French Open title and a 22nd Grand Slam title overall, which would take Nadal 2 clear of Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer. Ruud has love 40 on Nadal's serve. Break points. That is a double fault Nadal into the middle of the net.
We saw 2 in the game earlier when he was broken as well, and both of them, I think, were in the net. Ball toss ever so slightly too far in front there. Bit of a nervy looking serve to me.
Well, it was, but also his legs didn't get up, and that was the concern we talked about earlier. How's the foot? How's the pushing up on the serve? Because right and left it looks all right, but I always wonder if Novak Djokovic is watching this match at home, thinking, I'm a Casper Ruud fan today. He doesn't want to see 22 slams. That's 2 ahead of him.
I'm sure, absolutely.
Yeah, they're having their own battle for history. Djokovic, Federer and Nadal. Nadal has pulled clear, 1 clear. He wants to put daylight between himself and the others today. Long goes Ruud, who leads 3 games to 1 in the second set. But he's at love 15 here. Nadal ahead by a set to love.
How many wins do you think that Rafa and the other top guys get? We'll just talk about Rafa because he's on court obviously right now. But how many wins do you think they get when they're not playing the best just because of who they are?
Tons. I mean, their lowest level is better than 90% of the men's tour.
But in terms of their opponents having like self-belief enough to get across the finish line as well, because I feel like that's the only reason Rafa was up in the semi-final against Zverev. Zverev was the better player.
Well, probably only the big three or the big four have that mentality where they think, okay, I can actually beat you. The other guys are thinking, can I beat you?
Yeah. Huge forehand down the line by Ruud. Steps in. He's going to polish off this forehand. And Ruud is coming alive here. 3-1 up in the second set and 15 all on his serve.
This is a huge game for Casper Ruud. You know, once you've got the break in the second set, you want to keep the momentum going. And this is where Rafa becomes his most dangerous, because he's one of the best players after losing serve to break back right away.
And just the point you were making, Naomi, about winning matches in the head. Imagine being Casper Ruud right now. 9 years ago, he was in this stadium watching his hero, Rafael Nadal, win the French Open against David Ferrer. And he pictured himself aged 14 in the stands. And he's hitting a forehand down the centre, aged 23, playing the 36-year-old Nadal, who hits his backhand down the line. And then a backhand down the line long by Ruud. And this is 15-30, and it's a must-hold service game for him.
It is, but that was tactically so astute from Rafa. You know, he got that backhand, he gave it a lot of height, a lot of bounce, up high on the Ruud backhand. The backhand above Ruud's shoulder, he can't really generate enough pace as the very top guys can, and Rafa knows that, so he's going to keep on pounding that side to try to get the break back. This is where he needs a first serve, Ruud, so he can get his massive forehand into play.
Ruud at the far end, from where we sit on the 5th floor of the Philippe Chatrier court. As a forehand goes down the line from Ruud, he's underneath a lob, it will drop out. And Ruud's back to 30 all in the game. 3-1 ahead he is, set down.
The reason I asked the question is, for me, Rafa's not playing his best tennis out there today. The first two games, I thought, oh, hello, he's come to play today. You know, we didn't get to see that sort of level of Rafa against Zverev. Every time Zverev got ahead 4-2 or 5-3, even the first set when he was 6-2 up in the breaker, he was just tightening up. You could just see he didn't quite have the full level of self-belief that he was actually going to beat Rafa. These are the generation now that have grown up watching him. The first year Rafa won the French Open, his opponent today would have been 9 years old. I mean, that's really when you start to get into the sport and take it seriously and decide, hey, I want to be there. It's then so difficult to play the person on the other side of the net and not the idol.
Here's a big forehand from Ruud. He's blasted it long, and he looks to the sky in frustration because this is break that point Nadal.
There's a prime example of playing Rafa rather than the ball. That forehand he should be making 9 out of 10 times, and just because Rafa's standing there, he misses it.
Yeah, so, and it's often when they're ahead, isn't it?
Well, it is when they're ahead, or, you know, they should be basically holding on here. This is another big game. Can he get over those demons as he did in the opening game of the second set?
Ruud 30-40 down here in the French Open men's singles final. He serves down the centre, break point down, 3-1 ahead with a forehand down the centre from him. Lofted up in the air from Nadal. This is a slow-paced rally at the moment. Neither one going after any shots. They're playing safe tennis down the middle of the court like neither one of them's got any confidence. Now Nadal accelerates into a forehand that Ruud retaliates with. But he's playing patiently here. Doesn't want to make an error. Perhaps he senses that Nadal's not firing on all cylinders just at the moment. Nadal goes cross-court. A chip cross-court is wide by Ruud. Nadal breaks back. And it's 3-2 now for Ruud in the second set. Nadal ahead by a set to love. And we can go and speak to Aaron Paul at the London Stadium.
Grimsby nil, Solihull Moors nil. We've had a frantic 25 minutes here. This game very much end-to-end. We've seen Joe McDonnell at full flex after a deflected Grimsby effort. Looked like it was nestling into a corner. But Solihull looked very, very strong on the counter. 27 minutes here, 0-0.
Thanks very much, Aaron. We'll keep you right up to date with that National League promotion final. Tonight we have the final round of the US Open Women's Golf with Ian Carter. That's from Pine Needles in North Carolina, and it'll be on Sports Extra from 9 o'clock. We've got the World Cup playoff final between Wales and Ukraine at Cardiff City Stadium from 5 o'clock with Ian Dennis. And we've got the French Open men's singles final taking place right now, and the crowd absolutely jam-packed, 15,000 people And I've seen, Naomi, about 40 or 50 Spanish flags.
At least. I've seen one Norwegian flag, but it is in the player box of Casper Ruud. So not quite as many fans. I'm not sure that all the people holding these fans are Spanish, or if they're just massive Rafa fans. It's obviously impossible to know, but I just think there were that many in the crowd. Surely they're not all Spanish.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they were. If you look at the top tier, which are not the most expensive tickets here, even though they are pricey, I can count about at least 100, 150
Masses,
flags from Spain. So, I mean, this is a big moment. The Spanish want to see history. They saw Real Madrid win their 14th Champions League title. Rafa was there. He wants his 14th Roland Garros title.
It is incredible to see these two behemoths of sport in Spain going title for title. Nadal 2-3 down in the second set. The sun comes out and illuminates him at the far end in his bright yellow shirt and green shorts. Ruud, all in green, attacks the net behind a backhand, but he's passed and he slips and Nadal's got him.
I mean, that's a good point from Ruud. I mean, trying to take that backhand early up the line, kind of didn't time it perfectly, gave Rafa a fraction of a second longer, and if you give Rafa a fraction second longer on the passing shot, you're always second best.
So tough on this big court as well. They've got a huge big screen on the court and they're actually playing the replays of some of the shots. So if you lose the point, you have to rewatch it in HD.
Just don't look up. Might discourage you even more.
Crowd all bathed in bright sunshine now as Nadal hits a little drop shot on the forehand. Oh, it's perfection! Didn't see that coming at all. I don't think Ruud did either.
It's a low percentage shot, wasn't he? He had a short ball, Rafa. It was quite high as well. He ran up to it with a slice grip and kind of chopped down on the ball. Got a big angle on it. Low over the net.
The only good thing for him, he was inside the baseline when he played it moving forward. It's a little bit easier, but I don't have that in my repertoire, and my coach would yell at me if I played that shot.
30-love Nadal trying to level up at 3 games all in the second set. Nadal first set 6-3, and Ruud finally got that break that he was looking for and led 3-1 in the set, but he was immediately broken back. Nadal serves down the centre onto the backhand. His feet pitter-pattering away on the far end of this orange rectangular court as he steps in and hits his forehand cross-court again. Ruud hitting his backhand well cross-court at the moment, but Nadal's just targeting that shot. Ruud goes for a drop shot. Oh, it's a good one, but down the line goes Nadal. He's 36, this guy. How did he get there that quickly?
I mean, just the movement is exceptional from Rafa moving forward, but not only the movement, it's being able to control and hold the ball. He actually held that backhand a fraction longer until Ruud moved to the other side of the court and then beautifully pushed it up the line into space.
Almost toying with him.
Well, it's amazing composure, but to have that composure, you need to have the mindset, but also the physicality.
Nadal goes through the same routine every single service point. And now we'll serve cross court, out it goes.
Has he changed that routine at all since he first came on tour?
No, still picking at his pants, still mopping his brow, still brushing his sole of his shoe along the baseline to clear off the little bits of sand that accumulate there. That's why we say a player has cleaned the line when they hit a forehand or a backhand that hits the line, because it whips off the little bit of dirt that's sitting on the top of the line. Here's a backhand that goes into the net from Ruud, and it's a service hole to love for Nadal to level up at 3 games all. Did Ruud make mistakes when he got broken in terms of his tactics? Because he played that final point so patiently and ended up making an error. Was that just a bad choice of tactics?
I think what cost him was the 30-all point when he missed a really ducky forehand. You know, he gets up 40-30, he doesn't get tentative because the other break points he lost, he was too aggressive. He hasn't really found the balance there, but right now, this 3-all game, the 7th game of the set, this is huge. He has to stop the rot right now, and Rafa's going to make a huge effort right now to get the break. Wouldn't be surprised if the Spaniard breaks now.
There is a slightly different look about the body language of Nadal right now. He seems to be pulsating with adrenaline and energy. I think Greg's onto something here. It's 3 games all. Second set. First set, Nadal 6-3. forehand cross-court by Ruud. In steps Nadal with a backhand down the line. Now he's got a forehand to go cross-court with. Thought he might come to the net there, but changed his mind. Goes cross-court with his forehand again. Nadal, forehand down the centre by Ruud. Then one on the run from Ruud. What a brilliant shot. Scoop back by Nadal. Now Ruud again cross-court. Nadal can't reach that one.
I mean, that's one of the best points from Casper Ruud today so far. I mean, electrifying forehand, but a beautiful short angle backhand to get through Rafa. Sometimes you don't have to go through your opponent, you have to go around him, and that was excellent from the Norwegian number one.
I actually think you need to do that more against Rafa than to try and hit through him, because he's so comfortable often camped way back behind that baseline, isn't he? You need to use those shorter angles up the court, drag him in.
Easier said than done when he gets that depth with that high bouncing ball.
Absolutely.
You need a short one. You got to bring out the slice.
That ball, when it's jumping up at you from the Rafael Nadal forehand, looks like a dog jumping up at its owner. He hasn't seen it for a month. 3 games all, 15 love, and the forehand is crashed down the centre by Ruud. On the run, he goes down the line, but he goes long.
See, that's the one that if he strikes it well, great, it's a winner. But if he doesn't, he loses the point. I mean, that's the one you want to come back with height cross-court or that short angle forehand once in a while. And if Rafa hits the winner up the line and backhand, you say too good. You can't just give those cheapos like that. You have to be absolutely stingy and execute to perfection if you're going to get the job done here against Rafa.
6-3. Nadal first set, 3 games all in the second. Backhand return just drops to the side of the sideline from Nadal as he was stretched out wide, and Ruud goes through the same routine himself. He goes over to the little box on the side of the court, takes the white towel, mops his brow, and it's going to be increasingly necessary. Humid day and the sun is out.
Why don't I get a percentage every time the player goes to the towel, David?
Yeah, Greg Rosetsky used to go for his towel every single point, regardless of whether he was perspiring in the slightest. Isn't that right, Greg?
It was. I started that terrible trend.
Yes, and that was when there were ball kids who were having to wait on your every move. As Ruud goes long with his forehand, and it's 30-all.
But that's what I'm talking about, Ruud. You see, the last plays a good opening point, plays a good third point, and then 2 unforced errors to go to 30-all. You can't afford those little lapses.
Why did you used to go and get a towel every single?
I used to play too quickly. That was the problem.
Try and slow yourself down.
Exactly.
I know a lot of players do it as part of the routine, don't they, to try and, well, for similar reasons, to slow down, to keep a clear mind, to try and have enough time to give themselves to think what they're doing.
Here's a forehand return by Nadal. He's got a chance here for a break point. It's 30-all as a forehand is driven down the centre by Ruud. He's underneath the lob and he smashes, but straight back at Nadal, who crashes it at him, and Nadal lifts another lob, and Ruud will smash this one away this time.
Just having that patience each and every point, but it has to be aggressive with the patience. You know, he's up at the net there. He's just gone straight down the middle of the court when it's a tough first overhead. He's then hit a good first volley. Rafa's still getting the ball back, but there's just no panic. Eventually the court will open up, the angle will open up for the winner.
Well, he's coming along strong now, is Casper Ruud. 3 games all, 40-30. You can hear the isolated shouts of Ruud when he wins the point. But the vast majority of the support inside court, Philippe Chatrier, is for Nadal. Inevitable, really. There was a period about 4 or 5 years ago when I think Rafael Nadal fatigue set in here at Roland Garros. Somewhere around when he was winning his 9th and 10th titles.
Do you think he's better now than he's ever been? Do you think he's past his peak?
Well, some of the tennis he's played these championships has been as good as it gets, to be quite honest with you. But he is human. He's having a few more lapses. But if you're in the finals here and up a set, you got to have improved as a player every year. Because the other players are getting better as well, let's not forget.
He's probably finding different ways to win these days, isn't he? Because
that's why I asked the question earlier as well, though. For me, it's not always because he's the better player. Sometimes it's just because the opponent doesn't believe, because they've grown up with him as their idol.
Trying to do something he's never done in his career and win the Australian Open and the French Open in the same year, as he hits his backhand cross-court, then leans into a shoulder-high one down the line as Nadal crashes it down the centre. This is game point for Ruud, but he's clipped the top of the net there and he's put it long, and so It's juice.
You're bringing up Naomi, is he better? That two-handed backhand is about as well as I've ever seen him hit it. I mean, the pace, the power, the placement, the aggression. I've never seen him hit it better. And we talk about the serve. The serve has improved over the years dramatically, and it's there when he needs it. So, in my opinion, he's a better player now than he was when he won his first title. And if you don't get better every year, you only go one direction, and that's backwards. And that's what Djokovic, Federer, Nadal have done throughout their career.
Returns for this backhand cross court. What a great shot by Nadal. Now he's in on the forehand and he swipes it away. And he's got break point Nadal at 3 games all.
What a return. I mean,
look at that pace from that far back off the backhand again.
It's a good first serve, isn't it, from Ruud?
It is a very good first serve. And, we always talk about the forehand, but the backhand for me has been the shot of the day from Nadal, as well as his incredibly good tactics.
Nadal is prowling around the baseline at the moment, eyeballing his prey. As Ruud hits his serve down the centre, break point down, he hits a drop shot. Here comes Nadal, he reaches it, goes cross court, down the line goes Ruud, just long, I think. And that means that Rafael Nadal has won the game, his third in a row. And from 3-1 down, he moves 4-3 ahead with a break of serve and leading by a set to love. The Spanish flags are flying inside Court Philippe Chatrier. Colin.
Yeah, we'll be back in just a second, but from Paris to Cardiff and some team news from Ian Dennis.
Well, as expected, Colin, Rob Page has made wholesale changes from the side that lost to Poland in the Nations League in midweek. Hennessy, though, is preferred in goal to Ward, and it's Moore and Bale who are up front. There is no Wilson in the midfield. Wow. As for Ukraine, they are unchanged from the side that beat Scotland at Hampden Park on Wednesday. But the big hitters for Wales all return: Ramsey, Bale and co.
Still a lot to talk about there, and we'll have time to do it on BBC Radio 5 Live, where it is just we're spoilt for choice. We will have live commentary from Cardiff at Wales against Ukraine for a place in the World Cup. We'll keep you up to date with that National League playoff game, Solihull Moors against Grimsby Town. But back to Roland Garros and Mr. Law.
Can't wait for that, Colin. 5 o'clock. Commentary from Ian Dennis, Wales against Ukraine. And we'll be bringing that to you here on 5 Live. And perhaps after the conclusion of this French Open final, depending on how long this lasts here, it may not be that long, because Nadal up a set and a break. It's going to be difficult from here from Ruud. He's got to retaliate quickly.
Well, he does. He's got to find a way to get back onto level terms in this second set. If he goes down 2 sets to love, it only looks like there's going to be one winner. And it's going at a rapid pace for a Rafael Nadal match. It's only just over an hour and 30 minutes. Well, in his previous match, it was an hour and 33 minutes just for the opening set.
Well, still plenty of support out there for Casper Ruud, particularly out on social media, actually. Hashtag BBC Tennis at 5 Live Sports. Steve says, I'm hoping Ruud is going to dig deep, stay strong and keep in this, make a match of it. Chad says Ruud is trying to out-moonball the moonball king. That ain't going to work.
God, I wish I hit moonballs like that. They're definitely not moonballs. Those things have a ferocious spinning kick.
Sorry, Chad. Greg's not with you. There's a forehand volley by Nadal. In rushes Ruud and lofts a lob, but that's into the tram lines. And I suppose the other element here for Ruud is, can he keep his belief that he can actually win this match? He's playing nicely. He's playing a good competitive match, but he's not really hurting Nadal.
Well, he's not, but I mean, this second set was huge for him. When he was up the break, he had to consolidate, at least stay at level terms and find a way to win this second set. If he goes down 2 sets to love, it's going to be a heavy mountain to climb. I don't think anybody has beaten Rafa here in Paris down 2 sets to love.
No, well, they haven't. He's never been beaten in that sort of scoreline as the backhand has gone cross-court from Ruud and out. Only 3 people have ever beaten Rafael Nadal. He's only lost 3 times, or to 3 different men. In fact, 3 times to 2 different men, because it was Robin Soderling first in 2009, and then 2 defeats to Novak Djokovic.
I was wondering who the third was going to be there, David.
I was thinking maybe Casper Ruud. It's not looking good at the moment, but you never know. Backhand on the line from him, goes long.
Well, and the other thing you got to remember, there's only 3 players who've taken him to 5 sets out of those 111 wins. Isner, Djokovic and Felix Auger-Aliassime this year. And John Isner had a 2-sets-to-love lead in the opening round a few years back.
I have seen Nadal lose from 2 sets up a couple of times.
On a clay court?
Not on a clay court. One of them was to Fabio Fognini, the richly talented Italian, on a hard court at the US Open a few years ago, as he aces down the centre Nadal and marches towards his chair at 5-3. It's not a change of ends, I think he just needs another racket. And the other one I can remember was Stefanos Tsitsipas at the Australian Open a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but that's a hard court. It's a little bit easier to do that, even though it's a difficult feat to do against Rafa, just because the clay buys him that fraction more time. In this game style, with the explosion he gets off the clay and just being able to move easier with the body, it's almost an impossible task. But there's always a first, you never know.
You can see how much he respects Casper Ruud as well, because as much time as he's taking Rafa, he's at least jogging to get back into position. Maybe just he's a few times kind of apologised for taking as much time as he does, but he can't help himself because it's his rituals, it's his OCD. He needs to do it.
Hits his backhand on the line, does Nadal. 6-3, 5-3 ahead. Needs 3 sets to win his 14th French Open title and his 22nd Grand Slam title overall. It would make him the oldest men's singles champion ever here at the French Open, and he's missed a forehand. Listen to the crowd shock.
He is human, though, but, you know, Naomi, you talk about the OCD in the locker room, and the players used to say, oh, we should just kick over his water bottles, and if we kick them over, you know, maybe he can't play. Australian player did it in Monte Carlo. I can't remember his name.
Marinko Matosevic.
Yes, he kicked them all over. Rafa smiled, and he didn't get another point in another game. So don't make him angry.
You wouldn't like him if he's angry.
He was a character of a player. He was great fun to watch. He coaches now, actually. I think I saw him here during the qualifying. I'm not sure who he was here coaching, but he definitely wasn't playing.
Naomi Brody and Greg Rosetsky here with us on 5 Live as the backhand is hit down the centre by Casper Ruud, who's had a fabulous French Open, but so far he's up against the ultimate warrior in Rafael Nadal. And Nadal carves a backhand volley cross court, and it dies on this clay court surface, and Ruud nowhere near it. 6-3, 5-3.
I mean, David, when you say the ultimate warrior, I think of that wrestler. And Rafa looks a little bit like that with the headband and the outfit today.
It wasn't a coincidence that I said it, Greg. Yes, I was into 90s wrestling. 15-all. That's my misspent youth. Not so worried. Here's a backhand down the centre by Nadal, who moves to his left, hooks at a forehand cross-court, slapped forehand on the line by Ruud, who's retaliating with power of his own, but as he caught the line, I think he has somehow. Here's Nadal, though, he's going to step in and finish this point, surely, with that forehand, but no. Ruud turns the tables and tries to hit the living daylights out of a backhand, but it goes long.
Done all the hard work, hadn't he, Ruud? And he's not happy there. You can just see his reaction. He's looking up to his box, muttering away. It's like, what do you need to do to win a point against this guy? He's hit the most unbelievable running forehand, Casper Ruud. He's just caught the back of Rafael Nadal's baseline. He's then turned the point around, got on the front foot for the backhand. Almost got overexcited with it, gone for way too much. Hit it about a metre long.
The problem with Rafa, he makes you feel like you're playing a human wall. You don't think you can get through it, and you just get frustrated.
2 more points for Nadal to take a 2-set lead. Long goes the Casper Ruud serve. It's kind of like watching Rafael Nadal light down the other end of the court. He's a very, very good player, but he's not Nadal. Nadal hits his backhand down the centre. Now he'll hit a forehand cross court. Ruud is trying to show him he's got some power of his own here. He's hitting hefty forehands, but they're coming back with interest. And Nadal finishes the point with a forehand of his own, as if to say, now that's a forehand.
I mean, what a turnaround this set has been. 3-1 down, now double break point to win 5 games in a row and the second set. I mean, this is truly remarkable from the defending champion.
Casper Ruud is fighting as hard as he possibly can, but he's up against a man that just seems unbeatable on this surface when he's in this form and fitness. 6-3, 5-3 Nadal. 15-40 he has for 2 sets to love in the men's singles final. Nadal will hit his backhand down the middle. It's going to go long.
Again, just another glimpse of the human side of Rafael Nadal. He hasn't been 100% today. He hasn't always been able to be clinical when he needs to be. He had lots of time there on the backhand return.
Still set point Nadal. Can barely see him, he's so far behind the baseline. Right, standing next to the line judge at the back of the court, almost with his back leaning against the wall. Here's a forehand cross court by Ruud, chipped down the line by Nadal into the tram line. So again, Ruud just trying to scramble his way out of trouble, and he's got to the relative safety of deuce.
Well, it'll be interesting if Ruud can hold on here. You know, when Rafa was serving it out in the opening set, you know, a few nervy points early on. Just want to ask the question. Worst case scenario, you're starting to serve first in the 3rd set.
Juice now. Ruud with a great serve down the centre. A lofted forehand return, sits up for Ruud to attack cross court, but Nadal gets himself back to neutral in the rally. He's got a backhand to hit, but he doesn't need to because Ruud's pulled it cross court and out.
I'm just feeling like they're both tightened up a little bit here because they're not quite hitting it with as much aggression from behind the baseline either. You can see there's more height on the ball. They're each trying to get it up, kicking up off the clay, shoulder height, head height even.
A 3rd set point for Rafael Nadal of Spain to lead by 2 sets to love in the French Open men's singles final. He hits his forehand return down the centre. It sits up for Ruud, who swats it down the line. Now he's going to step into another one, but Nadal will reach it and chip his backhand, slices it down the centre of the court. He's just slow-balling Ruud at the moment, keeping these balls deep, keeping them in, trying to entice an error perhaps. Forehand cross-court, an acute angle from Ruud, and well played, Casper Ruud, because the backhand slice hits the net from Nadal. And that's what you were asking for a little earlier. No, I mean, if you can't get through Nadal, maybe you can go round him somehow.
Absolutely, and that's the sort of patience that you need to get the right ball, as Greg was saying, because we're saying we want these shorter angles to hit. They're almost impossible to play when Nadal's hitting these massive topspin shots at you. But Casper waited there. He was waiting and waiting until he firstly got enough angle, but also it was the slice from Nadal, so the ball's then staying much lower, and it's much easier job for him to create that acute angle.
Service swings out wide from Ruud. Can he do what Craig Rosetsky's just been asking for, to get this service hold? Ask the question of Rafael Nadal. Could even Nadal get nervous? Nadal hits his backhand cross-court. Forehand down the line is crunched by Casper Ruud, who steps into another one. Nadal's going to reach it, though. Down the line it goes.
I mean, that is just absolutely ridiculous from Rafa. I mean, great defense with the slice forehand. Ruud runs around to hit a forehand inside out. Rafa just waits there. He knows it's coming and just easy forehand winner up the line. It's like paint by numbers. He knows what number's coming every time.
I mean, it's so easy to see from up here, but as soon as Ruud set up for that forehand, I mean, he's so far out of the court, isn't he? As soon as he went into the Rafa forehand, I'm just shaking my head thinking, no, this is going to be a winner up the line. This is a Rafa special.
Advantage Nadal. Set point number 4 for 2 sets to love. And that was a not very effective serve right into the net from Ruud. He plants his green shoe just behind the white baseline on this orange dusty court. Serves down the centre, double fault Ruud. What a sad way for him to end that set. He's walking with his head bowed back towards his chair, and in all likelihood Nadal is going to win this. And that was the situation at the start. It's even more the situation now, Colin, because it is 2 sets to love for the great Rafael Nadal.
It is indeed. 6-3, 6-3. We'll be back at Roland Garros in just a second. But let's take you to the London Stadium, a place in the Football League up for grabs. Grimsby against Solihull Moors. It was the first half that had everything apart from a goal. But that's not the case anymore, Aaron Paul.
No, Grimsby nil. Solihull Moors 1. A half full of chances comes to a close here, Colin, and it is Carl Hudlin whose header separates these two sides. Scored on the stroke of half-time. Hudlin rose highest after Joe Sabara Navarro's cross was floated in and planted the ball past the goalkeeper. This has been a frantic game. Chances at both ends with both keepers pulling off acrobatic stops throughout. But it is Hudlin's header which has Solihull-Moors 45 minutes away from the EFL. Grimsby 0, Solihull-Moors 1.
What a story it is if they make it for the first time in their short history. Aaron Paul will keep us up to date, but all eyes, well, how far away now? 64 minutes from kick-off in Cardiff. That World Cup playoff final. At last, it's Wales against Ukraine. In the commentary box for 5 Live, over 50 caps for Wales. It's one Sam Ricketts. Good afternoon, Sam.
Good afternoon, Colin. How are you?
Yeah, I'm better than you, I would imagine, at this stage, without having any skin in this game. Can you just sum up what it is like outside the stadium and now inside this stadium and what is just an epic afternoon?
Yeah, the atmosphere is building inside, the music's playing, fans are filtering their way in. As I came in, it wasn't a stream of Wales supporters coming from Cardiff City Centre, it was a river. Honestly, the streets were packed, all in red shirts. If there wasn't a red shirt, it was a red jumper, something red. Everyone wants to wear red today. And you say, how's the atmosphere? I'm twitching my feet and I'm not even playing. I didn't even realise I was doing it.
In terms of who is playing, it's interesting. On the BBC website, we've been asking Welsh fans to pick their starting 11. And in terms of the 10 outfield, it's exactly as the fans want on the BBC website. The only difference was Hennessy, Ward. That was the only difference, but that was always going to be a toss-up. What's your thoughts on that starting 11?
Yeah, I think Wales are a pretty settled team. It's part of their success that the players know each other very well. They know how each other's going to play, and the team nearly picks itself, barring a few injuries or a little bit of form in a couple of positions. Centre-half, obviously Chris Mepham's out a bit at the moment. Given if he gets playing well again, he'll find his way back in. But it's a settled team, which is always good in big games, because you need the players around you, players who you know. And you know their games very well, and they know you, and also a bit of continuity if you're speaking to each other during a game. You can help each other through. If you make someone a bad time, you know him well enough, you know what to say to help him out and get him through the next 5-10 minutes.
If you're putting £1.50 on a team here, you'll get just about the same odds. So you've got to look beyond the starting 11 with extra time, a genuine possibility. So you look to the bench, you look to the likes of Harry Wilson, who's had a great season at Fulham, and there's reasons to be cheerful there too.
Yeah, you look at that, like you said, Harry Wilson's one. I think Brennan Johnson's another one, just got promoted to the Premier League with Nottingham Forest. Both young, big energy, both attacking-minded players as well, which is what, as the game goes on, and tired legs, you want the fresh impetus coming on up front. So they're the two big standout players in terms of that. Backup at the defence, obviously, but yeah, the starting lineup's strong with a couple of options off the bench, like you said.
And the Ukraine side is unchanged from the team that were so impressive, Sam Ricketts, and particularly going forward against Scotland.
Yeah, they were. Everyone spoke about Ukraine, and rightly so, over the last couple of months because of what's gone on in their home country, and still is going on. But no one really ever mentioned just what a good footballing team they are, and I think the performance they put out against Scotland just reminded everyone and made everyone stand up and take notice. Oh, these can play football. They're not here for any other reason than they can play football. They're good at it, technically very sound, tactically very sound, with some very, very good players as well.
I suppose the big question is, you've been part of it, you've had to try and handle that history, and generation after generation have either been in the wilderness or been so close to qualification for World Cup after World Cup. In your heart right now and in your head, is this the day for Wales?
I think so. I think we've got a togetherness within the group, not only the group but the supporters. And Wales is obviously and always has been a predominantly rugby country. Well, over the last 10 years the tide has turned a little bit, and football has become more prominent, packed out now every game. Whether it's someone's granny who's 90 odd, it knows about this game today. She's watching it, wishing Wales on. Or it's a 6-year-old down the local park scoring the winner this morning in his Sunday League game. Everyone's rooting for it. We've got a group of players who are good enough to do it, close enough together to do it. This is the day.
Cliff Jones has just put a lovely good luck message out there on his Twitter, which is a nod, of course, to that history. We were talking to Ellis James earlier, and he made exactly the point you were saying of that transformation in how Wales now comes together to watch football, not just rugby, whether it be an unofficial anthem, whether it be when Land of My Fathers goes up, but there is a feeling of real strength there.
Yeah, there is, and when the Welsh crowd all singing and get together, it then have to make an atmosphere. Everyone who's witnessed it knows what I'm talking about. If you haven't, just get yourself to a rugby game or a football game, and you'll hear the Welsh voice in full cry. And listen, it helps the players. Undoubtedly, it helps the players. The home record for Wales is very, very good. So yeah, hopefully we'll be loud and proud again today.
Well, listen, Sam Ricketts, I was able to talk to you for a little bit longer because Rafa Nadal had a toilet break at the end of the second set. I think you might be needing a couple of those before 5 o'clock, but we'll be back with you soon, my friend. Take care.
Cheers, thank you very much.
No Ruud awakening so far for the King of Clay, Roland Garros. Let's get back, Russell Fuller.
Philippe Chatrier caught in fabulous voice now, Colin. A Mexican wave rippling around the stands. Nadal is back after the bathroom break. An extra couple of minutes allowed to change your attire, so players are allowed 5 minutes to do 2 things once the bathroom door is closed. And finally he's back out, and he'll serve first in this third set, having broken again at the end of the second. He leads Casper Ruud 6-3, 6-3. He's won 5 games in a row, and he's a set away from that 14th French Open title, that 22nd Grand Slam title, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon here in Paris. An hour ahead of you in the UK and an hour away from Wales against Ukraine in Cardiff. Nadal to serve first then. Greg Rosetsky and Naomi Brodie are in the commentary box with us here on 5 Live. Nadal is troubled by a couple of spectators who have not taken their seats and are just at his lion's eye as he prepares to serve. But now he's ready. The forehand from Nadal, the backhand from Ruud. Nadal's forehand cross-court, Ruud with the backhand to the Nadal forehand, and that's cross-court from Nadal, catching his opponent by surprise, and it's a pretty easy volley put away by Nadal, running into the net and just slicing that backhand cross-court and doing everything he can just to put the brakes on in time to make sure he doesn't make contact with the net in front of our British umpire, James Kiyothavong.
God, he makes this game look so easy sometimes, Rafa. You know, just simple tactic. Go to the backhand, wait for the short ball, get forward, knock off the volley.
Simples.
It's unbeatable.
The problem is executing that all the time.
15 love Nadal. We have the best weather of the afternoon. This couldn't have worked out better for Nadal, meteorologically speaking, either.
Yeah, I just popped outside the commentary booth for my own quick break, and it's absolutely lovely out there. Lovely and warm in the sunshine, not too hot like it was yesterday.
Warm and sunny, and much more blue sky above the Philippe Chatrier court now as Nadal serves. It's a backhand return from Ruud. The forehand down the line from Nadal. He's into the tape.
What I love about Rafa, I mean, he just shakes his hair. The frustration, he knows he should have made that one. It's just amazing how much drive and desire this guy has at 36 years of age.
Constantly striving for perfection, isn't it?
I mean, when I was 36, I was done and dusted. I couldn't think of that. My mind was fried. He just has that abundance of youth and energy still in him.
At what age did you decide you had had enough, Greg?
I was 33. The body said no more, and so did the mind.
Backhand reply from Ruud. Nadal's forehand. Ruud hits the backhand to the forehand of Nadal. Backhand from Ruud. Nadal's forehand hitting in towards that backhand of Ruud, which is his weaker wing. Cross-court with the backhand, and just long goes Ruud, and Nadal has 30-15. Just a questioning glance at the line judge at the opposite end of the court from Casper Ruud, but he accepts it was long, and the point again is Nadal's.
You can see that both players are really respectful of each other, both of them just acknowledging to each other as well. If they felt that the ball mark was out there, they're not even asking the chair umpire to get down and go and have a look, are they? They're just accepting each other's word.
No, he's had a rather sedentary afternoon, James Kiyothavong. He's got the best view in the house as Nadal hits the service line and moves to 40-15 as Ruud nets on the backhand.
I mean, if I was going to be critical of the Norwegian, the only thing I would have done is change my return to serve position. He's staying so far back, he's not even moving over to the backhand side and say, come on, Rafa, hit it into my forehand. Especially on that first serve, and even the second serve, we haven't seen him on one occasion run around and hit a forehand. I know it's harder to do against a lefty on the ad, but still.
Nadal, 40-15, the backhand from Ruud, the forehand cross-court from Nadal. Ruud with the backhand with a bit of air. Nadal's forehand is to the forehand of Ruud, and he's missed the Norwegian. And that's 6 games in a row now for Nadal, who's won the opening game of the third set. And he will be hoping the final set of Roland Garros 2022.
Well, it's the first time we saw Casper Ruud really just shake his head, look a little downtrodden body language-wise as well, too. So Rafa's really in command at this moment. You know, this is where you want to see Casper maybe just show us a little bit more emotion, try to get the crowd on their side. Yes, everybody wants Rafa to win this, but they also would like to see more tennis.
Yeah, I'm wondering if at some point we're going to see the crowd start to even out their cheers a little bit. I'm not so sure with the amount of Spanish flags around that it's going to be totally 50-50, but as you say, I think they'll want this to go on a little bit longer because by Rafa standards it's quick, isn't it?
It is.
Anything under 3 hours is a very quick match for Rafa Nadal, isn't it? Even though he tends to win his matches over the years at Roland Garros very quickly in terms of set scores. The clock often suggests otherwise, but we get longer rallies on clay, being a slower surface. And that match against Alex Zverev, 2 uncompleted sets, remember. Zverev having to withdraw, retire, because he tore some ligaments on what was the final point of the regulation set, just before a second set tiebreak. And they'd been playing for 3 hours and 13 minutes at that stage already. Nadal's got the court open and he finds it. No surprise to anybody, a backhand winner.
I mean, the backhand has been fabulous today. And also, after the second set, they actually water the court and they sweep it. And it just buys Rafa a little bit more time. I thought it would help Ruud to have a little bit of a slower court, but Rafa's the one taking advantage of this early on in this third set.
Love 15 on the Ruud serve. It can be a fairly lonely place out there if you're on the end of a beating, as Nadal is unable to time that service return. Good serve down the middle from Ruud. The court is the regular dimensions, but there is about 10 meters behind either baseline and a good 6 or 7 meters to either side of the court before you start to run into the digital advertising boards.
All tennis courts are the same size, aren't they? It was a fact I learnt during lockdown that not all football pitches are the same size. They kind of have within so many metres, but
Correct.
Otherwise they're all different. I found that absolutely mind-boggling.
And you can play to your strengths. If you like a little bit of width, you can produce a slightly wider pitch if you have the means and the resources. Here's a forehand from Nadal, the forehand from Ruud, the backhand from Nadal is long. 30-15 Ruud, just needs something spectacular to happen, something that nobody here is anticipating at the moment, because you can sense the mood of the crowd. They don't really feel this is a contest at the moment. They think they know exactly how this is going to end, and at the moment they're here for a moment of history more than anything. But can Ruud somehow force his way back into the match, as he threatened to do at the start of the second set, getting the early break on Nadal? 30-15. A missed first serve from Ruud.
Like you say, we just want to see a little bit more, don't we? Just hang on in there a little bit more, push Rafa in this third set, just to up the excitement a bit. I would say it's the only downside of having won 21, almost 22 Grand Slams, is that it can become a little bit predictable as to who's going to win.
Backhand cross-court from Nadal. Ruud with the forehand just long, 30 all on his serve now, and particularly when you play a first-time Grand Slam finalist. That was the advantage of the draw, I suppose, for Nadal, in that if he were going to play Novak Djokovic, it would come at the quarterfinal stage. It was much earlier than he would have anticipated, but if he was able to get through that, then there was always the potential for what, on paper at least, would be an easier final.
Well, the top half was stacked. Alcaraz, Djokovic, Zverev. The bottom half was Tsitsipas and Ruud, really. So, and Medvedev's never really been a contender here in Paris.
Backhand return from Nadal. Another backhand from him down the centre. Ruud's forehand hits the net. It's sitting up for Nadal. Here comes the forehand. And here comes another break point for Nadal for a 2-love lead in the third set.
Very similar to that opening set when Rafa got the early break here. And, you know, he needs to find a way to somehow stay level with Rafa. If he goes down a break in his third set, I feel like the afterburners are going to come on from Rafa, and he's just going to really throttle this third set home. That's where Rafa is the best in the business. When he's got a lead on this surface, he is not going to end up second best.
Breakpoint Nadal to win a 7th game in a row. He's right next to one of the line judges at the back of the court, Nadal. The line judge will be able to smell his aftershave.
Well, hopefully it's aftershave.
Yeah, after 2 hours on court.
Amongst other odours. Long from Ruud, but that was a first serve after the let. Second serve, Ruud. Break point down again. It's a familiar feeling. The backhand return from Nadal. Sun bright on the Philippe Chatrier court. A Ruud forehand hit to the Nadal backhand. He's taken that so early. And he's smashed it cross-court for another winner. And that is 7 games in a row for Rafael Nadal, who, as our listeners on the BBC World Service join us, leads Casper Ruud of Norway, the 8th seed, by 2 sets to love. And now with the break by 2 games to love. 6-3, 6-3, 2-love. Naomi Brodie and Greg Rosetsky, 2 British players, are with us in the commentary box. And Greg, it's one-way traffic.
It is one-way traffic, and you know, the last winner was on the backhand side. That has impressed me, that shot, throughout this, man. The willingness to take it on, to be aggressive. I mean, Rafa has just gone from strength to strength. I mean, Casper Ruud has to stop the rot now. That is a total of 7 games lost in a row.
And Nadal has another service game to come here. The backhand reply from Ruud, the backhand from Nadal. Ruud's forehand hit cross-court. Nadal hits down the centre. Ruud opts to return on the forehand, his favourite wing. Forehand cross-court from Ruud, backhand from Nadal. Ruud with the backhand cross-court, Nadal with the forehand cross-court. The backhand from Ruud, nice angle, and Nadal into the net with the forehand. Forced into the error. It's not been vintage Nadal, has it, so far? The way he played against Novak Djokovic, particularly in the first set and a half, was the best tennis we've seen him play at Roland Garros. But he was out of sorts against Alex Zverev. He's doing plenty here, but he's not absolutely firing on all cylinders.
But that's what the greats do. They do just enough. You have to do something special yourself to make them raise their game. Rafa knew he had to do it against Novak. Against Casper, he knows that his 90 to 95% game is good enough. He doesn't need to be at 100% to win today.
Love 15 down here, Nadal. The backhand from Ruud. Drop shot from Nadal. Ruud's drop shot down the line. And the forehand cross-court from Nadal. In fact, that drop shot from Ruud just landed in the middle of the court. Just where Rafa likes it.
He was like caught between wanting to hit the drop shot reply and pushing the ball long. He didn't really do either. Just sat there nice and short around the service line and on the Rafa forehand. Never a place you want the ball to land.
We've been struck by the number of Spanish flags in the Philippe Chatrier court this afternoon. And what is now a lovely sunny afternoon. Backhand reply from Ruud. Nadal with the forehand. Ruud with the backhand cross-court. Nadal's forehand cross-court. Very close to the sideline. Short ball for Nadal. He's hitting through that backhand. A volley from Nadal. Ruud goes cross-court. What a piece of magic from the Norwegian. Just turning the wrists and working that backhand cross-court for a bonus winner. And those are not boos if you're joining us for the first time. It's Ruud.
I mean, it's one of the best points from the Norwegian there as well, is, you know, just check stepping before he slides in and slices the winner back behind it. A little opening here at 15:30 to get a game on the board after a long while not being able to post.
Ruud led 3-1 in the second set, but Nadal has won 7 games since. So 6-3, 6-3, 2-love, but now some work to do. 15-30 down Nadal and missing his first serve. He's never won the Australian Open and the French Open in the same year. That is what he is now 1 set away from doing.
Wow. That's an unbelievable stat considering he's won
13 French Open titles.
Yeah.
And only 2 Australian Open
That's what I mean.
titles.
He's only done it 2 times. So this is only the 2nd time he's won the Australian. So
Wow.
not many chances to do it.
Forehand from Ruud. He's attacking hard, but Nadal is picking this backhand up and hitting it cross-court. Ruud now with a forehand, putting loads of power on that. Nadal's got a bit lucky here, and net cord has landed in. Forehand cross-court from Nadal. Now he's pushing Ruud back. Nadal with the forehand.
I mean, that is the most devastating shot in men's tennis when he's in the center of the court, Rafa, that massive inside-out forehand winner. And sometimes you need a bit of luck, and that lead court really helped Rafa turn that point around.
It's just unplayable, isn't it? I mean, the combination, the power, the rate at which the ball spins, it then kicks up off the clay, how early he takes it at times as well, Rafa.
$30-all. 2-love, Nadal leads in this third set. He has won each of the Grand Slam titles at least twice, as has Novak Djokovic. The only players to have done so in the Open era. Good deep return here by Ruud. Nadal cross-court with his forehand. Nadal down the line with a forehand, but Ruud is there in time, trying to set up a break-back point. Nadal under pressure here, hits the forehand right to the back of the court. Forehand from Nadal. Everybody knew what was coming. One of Nadal's very, very best. Ruud, helpless. Game point, Nadal.
Well, also, Russell, you were talking about Nadal's record of winning every slam at least twice. Let's not forget the 2 gold medals he had added on there, 1 in singles and 1 in doubles. That's something Novak is missing from his repertoire.
Yes, and that is definitely one of the cards that Nadal fans will be using when everybody meets to vote on the greatest player of all time in 5 or 6 years' time.
Well, there's a long way to go in that race, especially with Novak being so healthy. Right now, Rafa's in pole position.
40-30, game point to win an 8th game in a row. Backhand from Nadal, the forehand cross-court from Ruud. Nadal with the backhand cross-court, Ruud with the forehand cross-court. Nadal slicing into his backhand. Ruud now coming forward to play the drop shot and netting. And he has a very resigned look on his face as he makes his way briskly to his chair, Casper Ruud. He knows this has nearly completely gone now. It is slipping away rapidly. Nadal has won 8 games in a row in the French Open final. He leads by 2 sets to love and by 3 games to love.
Well, he'll know he'll have lost 8 games in a row, and that's a hard thing to manage mentally. This is where you have to say, okay, let's forget about it. Pretend the score is 0-0, and that is the hardest thing to do mentally, because he obviously had huge dreams and aspiration to try to win his first major, but Rafa's saying, this isn't happening on my watch, and you've got to get out of your mind you're up 3-1 in that second set, but with every game he loses, that reoccurs in your mind.
Well, we really don't know what the future holds for Rafael Nadal. He has promised to address his foot problem once the French Open comes to an end, so he may provide us with a few answers about his plans for the next few weeks and months. He may not have any plans. Certainly there have been reports in the Spanish press that have been denied by his agent Benito that he's definitely skipping Wimbledon. There were also reports circulating amongst a few radio stations that there might even be a special press conference after the French Open, and they were speculating that Rafa was about to announce his retirement. Again, denied by Benito. So we will see what Nadal has to say and whether he's actually made any decisions about how much further he can play this year.
Surely he's going to give himself as much time as possible with the foot. I mean, obviously we don't know the extent of it. As he said, he's going to try and explain exactly what's been going on and how the doctor's been able to help to get him through this tournament. But considering he's won Australia, Roland Garros, surely he's going to give himself the opportunity of getting the Golden Slam.
We would love to see him try for the 3rd leg. If he wins here in Paris at Wimbledon in 3 weeks' time, we'll be there across BBC Radio, television and online. This feels like a formality now, but a historical formality as Nadal, attacking hard, wins the first point against the Ruud serve.
The other thing is, you look at Rafa throughout these championships, it doesn't look like the foot's bothered him. It doesn't look like he's been limping whatsoever like he was down under in Australia, so he's managed it brilliantly. I would just be shocked if he's healthy enough. Why wouldn't he be at Wimbledon?
Love 3, love 15. Forehand returned by Nadal. He's got a backhand here. The volley from Ruud. Nadal with the put away, running forward. Cross-court with the backhand. Could have gone anywhere. Could have gone right. Could have gone left. Could have gone straight at Casper Ruud, who is suffering badly out there. I'm sure you don't wish these Grand Slam finals away, but there must be a part of him that thinks, I just want to get off court.
I don't think he wants to get off court. I think he wants to get a game right now. And just he doesn't want to be bageled here in the 3rd set, because you know, that is not a good feeling to not win a game from 3-1 up in the 2nd set. There's a lot of pride at stake still.
Ruud serves at love 30. Misses the first serve. 2 hours and 7 minutes we've been playing for in Paris. Day 15 and the final day of the French Open. On 5 Live and the BBC World Service and the BBC Sounds app. The forehand from Nadal. The forehand down the line from Ruud. Cross court goes Nadal. Playing without pressure at the moment. Playing with the prospect of a 22nd Grand Slam title in the back of his mind. And these are 3 more break points. And it's very, very quiet, somber for the moment within the Philippe Chatrier court. That will turn into a mood of celebration if and when Nadal wins the title. But the sympathy for Casper Ruud at the moment, who is triple break point down and in danger of losing a 9th game in a row. Return from Nadal, the forehand from Ruud, the backhand from Nadal, the volley from Ruud into the net. And he's broken to love, and Nadal is 2 games away from the title.
I mean, this is the situation you want to be in, trying to win your 14th slam here. His coaching team looks very relaxed for the first time in this match. See Carlos Moya, who's done a fantastic job with Rafa over the last few years, taking over from Uncle Tony. You know, obviously former French Open champion, world #1. You know, he's the guy you have to credit for improving that two-handed backhand, changing up the service patterns as well and getting him to strike it harder. You know, he can actually just enjoy the last few games, which is a rarity for a coach.
And a player. I don't think there have been many finals that Rafa's been able to enjoy the end of.
Well, he'll be as intense as ever because he doesn't give anybody an inch. That's what makes him so great.
Nadal is serving here at 4 love. There's a miscue from Ruud that just clears the net, but it was only delaying the inevitable. Nadal moving forward, backhand cross-court winner, 7 points away from the title now as he leads this 3rd set 4 love and 15 love with Wales against Ukraine, live from Cardiff to come on 5 Live Sport for a place in the World Cup finals in Qatar this November and December. 40 minutes from kickoff. Nadal coasting to the title here in Paris. Yet another title, a 14th French Open title. He serves to the backhand of Ruud, and that backhand return is long. And the ease of the victory should not detract at all from the achievement, because it is simply extraordinary. And he's beaten Novak Djokovic, and he's beaten Alex Zverev, and he's beaten Felix Auger-Aliassime, and if he beats Casper Ruud, he'll have beaten 4 top 10 players to win the French Open for the first time in his career.
Well, there's very few players that win slams having to beat 4 top 10 players. I think there's only 3 in the Open era who've done so, so what an accomplishment it would be.
Nadal serving at 30 love, missing with his first serve. Felt very bad about his chances at the French Open when he was beaten by Denis Shapovalov in Rome in the 3rd round in 3 sets, and his foot was a major issue then. Seriously affected his movement in the deciding set. He's serving now. He's been moving fantastically well at Roland Garros, all things considered. Forehand cross-court from Nadal, the backhand from Ruud. Nadal hits the backhand into the net. That's one of the first errors he's offered Ruud for some time.
Well, he is human. He's allowed to make 1 mistake once in a blue moon. I mean, it has been a spectacular performance. I mean, this 3rd set is about as good as it gets from Rafa. And on the other hand, Casper Ruud has probably played one of his worst sets of the championship.
Do you think that's mental?
That is mental. He's just checked out after that opening game and getting broken early on here in the 3rd set, sorry.
Nadal serving now at 30-15. It's a serve and volley from Nadal, working Ruud so far out of court with a serve aimed at his backhand side. He was not far away from the geraniums and the spectators and the advertising boards there. And it's a very forlorn walk for Casper Ruud from one side of the Philippe Chatrier court to the other. Nadal has a couple of game points, and this will be to win a 10th successive game. Nadal serves into the net as the sun comes out again in Paris. No risk, it would seem, of the roof being closed, which was a threat for this men's final this afternoon. The showers have stayed away. Not wishing to rain on Nadal's parade. Forehand return here from Ruud. The backhand from Nadal cross-court. Ruud with the forehand cross-court. It's long, and that is 10 games in a row. 6-3, 6-3, 5-love at the change of ends. A few people are standing to applaud. The Spanish flags are starting to wave again. I do think the atmosphere is going to increase fairly spectacularly as Nadal gets the points he needs, either in this game or the subsequent one. But it is a very strange atmosphere, isn't it now, Greg, for the closing stages of a Grand Slam final with Rafael Nadal about to win a 22nd Grand Slam title.
Well, it is. We're used to the finals being pretty tight, only one break possibly in the final set, the crowd still being into it, but it's been so one-sided. As you said, 10 games in a row. I can't remember that happening in a men's finals for a long, long time. So, yes, the Spanish that are surrounded here and the Rafael Nadal fans want to cheer their man, but there's not a lot to cheer about, and they're feeling bad for Casper Ruud.
Makes a joke of equal prize money, doesn't it?
I'm not even going that one. I'll let Naomi get that one. How's that one for you?
I just hope Casper can hold on at least this one game, just get himself on the board in this third set, because, I mean, you don't want him to be completely dejected coming away from this final. It's going to just give the crowd that little bit more excitement. I'm not sure if they need it or not. Rafa runs out to the baseline.
Well, they are finding their voice now. They know that this could be the final game of the match. Those Spanish flags are waving. There is a Norwegian flag among a pocket of Spanish flags to our left. Viva España rings around the Philippe Chatrier court. People settling down now, retaking their seats. Casper Ruud is serving to stay in the French Open final. He trails love 5 in this third set. His forehand is a big one, but it's missed the mark again. And Nadal is now just 3 points away as he cleans that baseline with his right foot. As meticulous as ever until the final point is won, Rafael Nadal, but he is on the verge of more history here. Love 15 as Ruud serves, the forehand from Ruud, Nadal with the backhand cross-court, forehand cross-court from Ruud, Nadal with the backhand down the line.
He doesn't want to let Casper Ruud get one game on the board. He wants to get to 22 in style.
Well, he doesn't want to take any risks whatsoever. I mean, he is just brutal. When you win a game or you win a set against Rafa, you've always earned it. He's not making any exceptions, even for his good friend Casper Ruud.
He's won 23 sets, 6-love before at Roland Garros, and he's done it a couple of times in a final. Rafael Nadal. That was against Roger Federer in one of the greatest clay court performances of all time in 2008. And then against Novak Djokovic in the autumnal final of 2020. Is Casper Ruud about to add his name to that list? The backhand return from Nadal. The drop shot from Ruud. Nadal hits to the back of the court. The lob volley from Ruud. The backhand overhead from Nadal, who's got time to hit a forehand cross-court, but into the net.
What a point that was. I mean, one of the best points of the match. Great backhand smash from Rafa, but I'm a little disappointed on that forehand. He would have expected to have made that one.
Not really showing any mercy, I don't think. Just an error from Nadal. Ruud at 15-30. Can he stop this run of 10 games against him just in the nick of time, even if the result seems to be a foregone conclusion and seems to have been for some time here at Roland Garros? Nadal winning his first title as a 19-year-old in 2005. 2 points away from winning a 14th as a 36-year-old in 2022. The forehand from Ruud. Nadal's backhand onto the baseline. Backhand from Nadal. Cross-court for the winner. And Rafael Nadal of Spain has championship points at Roland Garros for the 14th time in his career. Two sets to love, and by 5 games to love he leads. And Casper Ruud serves at 15-40. Championship point number 1. Backhand from Nadal is a wild one. One of his worst efforts of the afternoon as he makes his way to the towel, perhaps one last time. Wipes his sweaty hands, wipes his sweaty face. Nadal with a championship point for a second time after 2 hours and 17 minutes.
Merci. Les joueurs sont prêts, s'il vous plaît.
Nadal has been ready for a while. Ruud serving, championship point down for a second time.
Merci beaucoup.
Just breaks away. And now, championship point number 2 on the Ruud serve for Nadal. Forehand return from Nadal. The forehand from Ruud. Nadal with the forehand cross-court. Ruud hits the forehand with a bit of edge. The Nadal backhand. Cross-court goes Nadal with the backhand. Now he's got the chance to put it away by going down the line with the backhand. And Rafael Nadal wins the last 11 games of the final to win a 14th French Open title. A simply nonsensical number. 22 Grand Slams in total. The oldest male champion in Roland Garros history as he embraces Casper Ruud, just tosses his racket to one side, exhausted but triumphant once again on the Philippe Chatrier court. 36 years of age, 14 titles in an 18-year span, and he's equalled his beloved Real Madrid, who won their 14th title in Paris just 8 days ago. Mind you, it took them 67 years to achieve that feat. And Nadal has done it in the blink of an eye. Unrivaled once more in Paris. Nadal the champion. French Open title number 14. Grand Slam singles title number 22.
Oh, just amazing. Incredible stuff from Rafa. There was no way he was going to lose this match today. I mean, just went from strength to strength as well. What a performance from the 14-time Roland Garros champion, a record that will never be broken.
And now we're seeing some more celebrations from Nadal. He's just disappeared out of our view, and I think he's going to be emerging very shortly in the president's box, in the players' box, and he's going to be congratulating and embracing and celebrating with those so close to him at the end of another French Open victory. 14 times we have seen this.
It's unbelievable. I mean, just incredible. I mean, 22 major titles now. I mean, separating himself from Novak Djokovic 2 away. He's done it the hard way, having beat 4 top 10 players to win a slam for the first time as well. And today he was simply too good.
No sign of Rafa as of yet. Maybe he's gone off for a quick kit change before he goes up to greet his box, but
and we can't
just astounding.
We can't be quite so descriptive about the bathroom break that he might now be having, because that is taking place behind a closed door. But like you, I was expecting him to emerge triumphant into the sunlight, to embrace all his family and friends, but maybe there was a more pressing matter at hand.
Well, I mean, he was really sweaty. We've seen that for the last few days. It is humid here, so that's all I can imagine, is he wanted a full kit change to be... Maybe he's got a special outfit for his number 22. Maybe we're going to see him come out in a new jacket or something.
Well, that's what Roger Federer done when he had a few records at Wimbledon.
Here he comes. He's bypassed his family and friends. They can wait. He's put his tracksuit top on and he's waving to the crowd. And they have seen history. And it was a little bit muted in the end because it was so ridiculously easy. Nadal winning the last 11 games of the final, as Greg said. When has that last happened in a men's Grand Slam final, or a women's final for that matter as well? Utter domination, and the downside perhaps of having a first-time Grand Slam finalist on the other end of the court, on the Philippe Chatrier court of all places, with Rafael Nadal as the opponent. Nadal will not mind a bit though. The stage has hastily been constructed, and we are going to see the presentation to Rafael Nadal very, very shortly. That presentation you'll be able to hear on 5 Sports Extra, but with the Wales-Ukraine match just minutes away now on 5 Live, we sign off from Paris with the news that Rafa has done it again. For the 14th time, Colin, and for the 22nd time across all Grand Slams, he's the champion. So with Naomi Brodie and Greg Rosetsky and me, Russell Fuller, if you're hastily retuning or finding the 5 Sports Extra icon on your BBC Sounds app, then we'll continue to describe the presentation ceremony, which is about to get underway. So, as you say, no one is ever going to win 14 Grand Slams at the same event again, are they? I think we can very, 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 very safely say that.
Not in your or my lifetime, maybe in 100 years from now, but not during our lifetime. And let's not forget, the record for most slams before the big 3 showed up was Pete Sampras at 14. Prior to that, it was 12. We've had 3 men break that record in this era, and all of a sudden, Rafa does it at 1 major. That is astonishing, and I wouldn't be surprised if number 15 happens next year. That's how good the man from Spain is playing.
Next year? I think it might happen this year.
Well, I mean, he can't win the French Open for a 15th time this year, can he?
Of course.
David Law's with us as well. I mean, I think there's a lot of optimism. We see him play like this, that he's just going to play on and on and on and on and on. But I think we need to wait to see what he says after the final.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, I saw a tweet from our colleague Stu Fraser from the Times who quoted the score, his age, the way he'd won that title, and said, well, why would you retire when you're playing like that? And I take that point, but the thing is, his foot is being held on, and, you know, that is not a good quality of life, I think, long term. He's got to find a solution to that, and maybe he doesn't want this life anymore. Maybe he doesn't want to have to walk around between tournaments and training and feeling terrible physically. That point is going to come, and does he bow out before he starts to decline noticeably in front of our eyes? Because that will happen as well one day. You know, if you were going to go out, listen to this.
14 titres à Roland Garros.
Yeah, I think he very much has the hunger and the desire to keep playing if he didn't have a foot problem. I agree with David. I think that's the issue here. It's about quality of life, and we just don't know quite how bad it is. He says there are no solutions. That's the issue. It's not that he's had enough of life on tour and winning titles. It's just that maybe actually he doesn't think that he can continue like this for much longer.
Well, this is the question, is what is he going to be able to play? What surface hurts him the most? In my opinion, it's the hard courts. In Australia, we could see him limping from the semi-finals onwards into the finals, even when he won that 5-set marathon against Medvedev. On the clay courts, we haven't seen the limp. Yes, we saw him pull out of Rome where he didn't look good, but these 2 weeks, he has been absolutely brilliant. So I think the clay and the grass courts are possibly the easiest for his feet to deal with. It doesn't mean he's not in immense pain, but I do hope his career continues, because he is a great asset for men's tennis and one of the greats of our game, and we'd love to see him playing more.
There's an ovation for all the ball boys and ball girls and line judges and ground staff who are out there on the Philippe Chatrier court at the moment. They are lined up behind the baseline at the commentary box end of the Chatrier court. In front of them, on a clay-coloured shallow stage, are the photographers and a couple of camera crews, and their lenses are pointed towards a currently empty stage. What we need is the Coupe des Mousquetaires, and that is arriving now, brought on by 3 of the ball girls who may well have been on duty in this final today. And one of them has the chance of walking up onto the stage and putting Nadal's trophy on the middle of a long desk, and now the runners-up trophy is put on there as well. And the other ball girl has James Kjotevong's silver plate that he will shortly receive for umpiring this French Open final.
It also looks like we're going to have Billie Jean King presenting the trophy this year. What a legend, what a great of our game.
De récompense du simple messieurs, Roland Garros 2022. Les trophées seront remis par le président de la Fédération française de tennis, monsieur Gilles Moreton, accompagné de celle qui a été plusieurs fois numéro 1 mondiale, 129 titres, 12 en Grand Chelem, 1 l'Open d'Australie, 6 à Wimbledon, 4 à l'US Open, Roland Garros il y a 50 ans ici en 72, 39 titres entre les simples, les doubles et les doubles mixtes. Elle a créé la WTA, l'organisme professionnel féminin, et s'est battue pour l'égalité des droits entre les joueurs et les joueuses. Madame Billie Jean King.
A lot of achievements just listed there. All she's done for equality and the titles. 39 Grand Slam titles, 12 in singles, 16 in women's doubles, 11 in mixed doubles. And she's walking onto the court now, linking arms with the president of the French Federation, Gilles Moreton. And we have the tribute now on the big screen to Billie Jean King. 129 titles in total across singles and doubles. One of the founder members of the WTA Tour. Some black and white pics on the big screen, some in colour too. And now, some moving images of some of her successes. 50 years ago, this year, that she won her first singles title, her only singles title at Roland Garros.
Nous allons saluer l'arbitre de la rencontre, Monsieur James Keotavong.
James Keotavong, such an experienced and well-respected chair umpire, a regular on the Grand Slam final stage, and here's his silver tray to commemorate the time that he officiated the French Open final on the day that Rafael Nadal won it for the 14th time.
Finaliste, et c'est sa première finale en Grand Chelem, le Norvégien Casper Ruud.
Pretty chastening experience for Casper Ruud in the end, losing the last 11 games of the match. Let's hope there's not too much scar tissue for when he next plays in a Grand Slam final. Clay, by far and away his best surface. Never won a match at Wimbledon, but he's equipped himself very well on the hard courts too, as he receives his silver runner-up trophy, which is a slightly larger plate than the one James Keotavong received. It is glinting in the Parisian
Casper,
sunshine.
please, a few words.
Yeah, well, it's this is the first time for me, so let's see how I do. But the first thing and the most important thing is to congratulate Rafa. I think it's your 14th time, 22nd time, or 14th time here, 22nd all around in Grand Slams. We all know what a champion you are, and today I got to feel how it is to play against you in a final, and it's not easy, and I'm not the first victim, so I know that there have been many before, so yeah, and of course and again, to you, Rafa, your team, your family, you have taken me into your academy with open arms, and also to my family, so thank you a lot. You are a true inspiration for me, for everyone who follows tennis around the world, so I hope, we all hope that you will continue for some more time. And to my own team, everyone involved, it's been a long road already, so even though I'm young, I have a big team around me, and this is a road that is impossible without the help of everyone, so thank you. You all know who you are, the closest one, and we're a team, so like I said, I hope we can continue this journey for many more years, and that you will be around me for more years and hopefully more finals in Grand Slam. So thank you so much. and to the city of Paris, the support, the people who came all these 2 weeks. It's been unbelievable and quite experience for me to play in front of over 10,000 people in the final. And it's been 2 difficult years for everyone around the world with COVID. So to see full practice, inspiring again. And you have been very nice to me all 2 weeks. So thank you. And it gives me motivation to come back, and hopefully next year I can teach some French if it's possible. It's not easy, but I will try. And lastly, to Amélie, the tournament director, and all your team, I know this is busy weeks for you, so you are doing a great job. You've been a player yourself. You know what we like to do, what we need. So thank you so much for the 2 or 3, almost 3 weeks, and I can't wait to come back near. And again, to everyone here, thank you and merci.
Casper Ruud, French Open runner-up 2022. You're listening to the trophy presentation on Sports World on the BBC World Service, and also 5 Sports Extra. And it's very shortly Rafa Nadal's turn again.
Vainqueur du simple messieurs Roland-Garros 2022, et il obtient son 22e titre en Grand Chelem, le 14e à Roland-Garros, l'Espagnol Rafael Nadal.
Huge smile on Nadal's face as he takes the trophy from Billie Jean King. A chat with the great champion. Nadal now walking to the top of the stage. He's unlikely to get lost at this point. He knows the way. For the 14th time, Rafa Nadal is king of the Philippe Chatrier court. Clutching the trophy very, very tight. Kissing the trophy, looking up into the sunny skies, waving to all corners of his favourite court, and just savouring the moment, because however great you are, none of us know whether we'll get a chance to come back. The photographers hungry for a few more
Mesdames,
snaps.
Messieurs, en l'honneur du vainqueur, l'hymne national de l'Espagne. Nous allons écouter Rafa.
Merci beaucoup à tout le monde. First of all, Casper, it's a real pleasure to play with you a final here in Roland Garros. you are great. I want to congratulate you for an amazing career that you are having, and especially these 2 weeks, I think, is a very important step forward. So I am very, very happy for you and for all your family, your team. You are doing great. You are great and very healthy people. So I am very happy for you and wish you all the very, very best for the future. Thank you. Well, I have to follow with my team. I think team, family, everybody who is there. It's completely amazing the things that are happening this year. So I just can thank you very, very much for all the things that you are doing with me and you did over the years. Without you, nothing of this will be possible, without any doubt. Especially in the very tough moments that we went through in terms of injuries. If I don't have a great support from the team, family, everybody that have been next to me, nothing of this will be possible, because I will be retired much before. So many thanks for everything. Well, I want to continue saying thank you very much, everybody who make possible this event. Without a doubt, for me, and I think for a lot of people who love the history of this sport, is the best tournament of the world. So many thanks to everybody who make possible this great event. All the ball boys, all the volunteers, tournament director, all the organization, all the people who work behind the scenes. You are doing amazing. So for me, it's always easy to be around here. You make me feel like home, and just can say thank you very, very much, everyone here in Roland Garros and the French Federation. Well, for me personally, very difficult to describe the feelings that I have. It's something that I for sure never believed. Be here at 36, being competitive again, playing in the most important court of my career one more time. Final means a lot to me, means everything. It means a lot of energy to try to keep going. I just want to say merci beaucoup à tout le monde ici à Paris. Pour moi, c'est incroyable de jouer ici avec un soutien incroyable de vous. Pour moi, c'est très très joli. Je vous dis merci beaucoup à tout le monde. I don't know what can happen in the future, but I'm gonna keep fighting to try to keep going. So many thanks. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
That is what they most wanted to hear. I will keep fighting to keep going, says Nadal as he ends his speech and now poses for photographs.
Sur l'écran, le nombre 22, c'est le nombre de grands chelems que possède aujourd'hui Rafael Nadal.
On the other side. Nadal the champion, 6-3, 6-3, 6-love. Let's get some closing thoughts now from Naomi Brody and David Law and Greg Rosetsky. So,
I was just waiting for the last sentence. I was just hanging on every word, waiting to hear if he was going to announce his retirement, mic drop and walk off. But no, he said what everybody wanted to hear. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to try my best to keep going.
Which I think is the very best we could have heard in a situation like that. I didn't think for a moment he was about to announce his retirement today. I'm just going to be very interested to hear what he has to say afterwards in his media conference about whether he can continue playing for the next 4-6 weeks. Does he need to take a complete break from the sport a little bit to try and find a solution to the foot problem?
Well, I think what he's going to do, he's going to have at least 1 week off, and then I think all of a sudden he's going to think, well, I've just won the opening 2 slams of the year. I'm going to find a solution for that foot, and I'm going to go to the Wimbledon Championships and see what I can do out there, because he is playing phenomenal tennis. 14 finals here, 14 wins, 22 major titles. It doesn't get any better. And if you looked at him and you didn't know he had a foot problem, you'd think nothing is wrong with Rafa.
Well, he's right. And look, he's just extended his lead. He's put daylight between himself and Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic. He is comfortably now the greatest player of all time at the moment. And I mean, Greg, I think, makes a very good point. You know, tennis-wise, he's never looked better in terms of the toolkit he's got at his disposal. Every shot seems to be getting better. The movement still seems fine. There's just the big question mark over whether that foot is going to enable him to play and how long for. But he doesn't look old. He really doesn't. and the desire is still there, isn't it?
Well, the only thing that's changed is the hairline. I mean, when he first came out, it was with the biceps, the cut-off sleeve T-shirt, the muscles were out. He's leaned his body up a little bit more, but at 36 years of age, as David said, he is playing truly sensational. I think he's enjoying this moment even more than ever, because the older you get, the more you appreciate you accomplish. And on top of that, with all the injuries, the foot problem, he really thanked his team, who've done a phenomenal job to get him in this position. Because in Rome right now, if you would have said to me he would have won this title, I would have said not a chance. Surprises us again like usual.
22 Grand Slam singles titles, level with Steffi Graf. I don't think this would be a major driver for Nadal, but in the Open era, only Serena Williams is ahead with 23. We don't normally compare the male and the female records, but perhaps an extra incentive.
Well, I think one element that is interesting is, and I don't think he thinks like that. In fact, he's insistent that he doesn't really think about the numbers. And given the way he goes day to day, in fact, point to point, he's about the only person in the world I can believe that might be true about. Play the points, play the games, play the matches, play the years, see how many you end up with. And because he's that much of a competitor. I read a piece today which said he loves the fight more than he loves anything else.
That was always my favourite part about tennis as well, was the competitive side of it. It's the adrenaline rush. You chase after it, don't you? That feeling of being so ultra intense, you just don't get it outside of the court in your normal life. And I think he's secretly chasing down Serena. He's just going to let us all know when he beats her.
Well, the other thing is, tennis is so black and white. You either win or you lose. There's nothing else in life that is like that, because everything's got shades of gray. Rafa knows the numbers. There's no question about it. But what his genius is when he steps on a tennis court, whether he's playing Casper Ruud, Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, he plays each point for the same value. He wants to win every single point. He is the greatest competitor in any sport globally. I mean, he is truly a phenom.
He's doing a round of interviews on the Philippe Chatrier court below us now. Casper Ruud has long since left. What sort of effect is that likely to have on him, do you think?
Well, Casper's actually right beside Rafa, so he hasn't left. So he is doing his press down there, which is the right thing to do, because that must have been terribly difficult to handle, losing 11 straight games in a row in your first ever Slam final. But he's a mature character. He's a grown-up man. He's more mature beyond his years at 23, definitely more so than I was at 23, and that's due to his father being a former player, having trained with Rafa as his role model. So he's got a lot to be proud of.
So the fortnight comes to an end at Roland Garros with Rafa Nadal and Iga Swiatek as the two champions. We will now wait to see how they line up for Wimbledon. It'll be underway in 3 weeks' time. There'll be no Russian players. There'll be no Belarusian players. We know Leylah Fernandez is missing through injury. Alex Zverev is going to be missing through injury. We hope everybody else finds a way to get to southwest London for the start on June the 27th. Who's going to win the title? Completely unfair.
I know already. I'm just going to jump in. Novak Djokovic. I mean, he's disappointed. I heard an interview from Ivanisevic where he thought he didn't fight hard enough. He wasn't happy. Novak wants to stop the rot. He wants to win 21 and be in the discussion and try to win the US Open. So Novak in the men's, Swiatek has been supreme. She has truly been phenomenal. And let's not forget, she won Junior Wimbledon. It's time to win the senior event.
Yeah, I would expect those two to win Wimbledon, really. But I suppose that the grass makes things interesting, particularly for Swiatek, because it's a little bit new for her to try to conquer that, Naomi.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting for me because although she won the junior event, as we were saying, Greg, with that forehand grip and stuff, I feel like she'll be slightly more open to a few more maybe tactics from players down the other end of the court. On the clay, I mean, nobody could implement the tactics because of the sort of ball that kicks up off the clay. On the grass, it's going to be interesting how she goes. And also, will the pressure of the streak that she's on start to take over a little bit more as well? Maybe the streak will be broken before she even gets to Wimbledon. I suppose we're going to see for both Swiatek and Nadal which exact clay grass court schedule they're exactly going to play. If they're going to take a week off, or if we'll see Swiatek at Berlin in a couple of days.
But the other thing with Swiatek, which I've been so impressed, is how early she's taken the ball. I mean, her physicality, the way she gets down and the strike is beautiful. The serve is improved. That's the area that if she serves well, I still see her as the favorite. Name me a women's player, apart from Ash Barty, who's retired, that has a great slice backhand. And there's very few out there.
Krejcikova? There's not many. I'll give you that.
I know, but Krejcikova, she's been in the wilderness. She lost first round here.
Yeah.
It's a potent weapon on the grass, is it not? Well, thank you to all of you. It's been a lot of fun having you with us here over the last few days, Greg, and the last 2 weeks, Naomi.
How spoilt we were this year, all getting to come back on site and get one of the best commentary views I think we've ever had. Just the most amazing view.
It is a fantastic position to broadcast
from. We all
from.
got to witness history.
We did, and Nottingham starts on the BBC iPlayer and Red Button from tomorrow. Coverage of the WTA grass court event there, and then there'll be coverage of Queen's and Birmingham the week after on BBC television, and then the women's event at Eastbourne the week after that. And we'll all be back combined radio, television, online from Wimbledon 3 weeks tomorrow for the start of the championships. That is it from all of us here in Paris. The sun is shining. The sun is shining on Rafael Nadal again, a 14-time French Open champion.